Market's trying to hold on to gains here this morning as we get a few economic releases set to come through at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock this morning. On the U.S. side of things, those will be the numbers we're paying attention to, including some home price index data again at 9 a.m. Then at 10, probably the biggest one that could affect the market. The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index coming up at 10 a.m. New home sales then at 10 o'clock, as well as the Richmond Fed Manufacturing Index on a day where we see things backing, positive territory here, 0.25% for the NASDAQ, but running into some key levels from yesterday. We had the Russell, we had the S&P, we had the NASDAQ, we had basically everything, the Dow as well, all at all-time highs. And then we get this sharp right-hand turn halfway through the morning. And what a sell-off it was throughout the day. We did bounce into the close, sharp sell-off after the close as well on some earnings reports, but here we are trying to hold on to 508 on the Qs right now. So NASDAQ trying to lead once again. We'll see how things do. Ton of earnings this morning, mostly in retail land. There's Kohl's to the downside. We had DKS to the upside in a pretty good way here, almost 10% at the highs there for Dick's Sporting Goods. NVIDIA moving around here this morning, trying to lead chips back to the upside. This was one of the main reasons we saw so much weakness in the overall market yesterday, specifically on the tech side of things. Across the board, though, I mean, there's some EV movement this morning. Our friends over at VinFast with their earnings out, Rivian getting more money. Lots of storylines so far.
I was just about to say that. You took the words out of my mouth. A lot of money being doled around today, Brendo. About $8 billion coming from the federal government for Intel under the CHIPS Act for them to continue building out the 4 fabs that they're building out in the States. More money for our friends at Rivian as well. They got about $6.5 billion to help obviously compete with Tesla. Lots to talk about, as you mentioned. Retail earnings in focus, as well as these GLP-1 drugs. Keep your eye on Lilly, Novo Nordisk, and Amgen. Amgen had a study, Novo Nordisk and Lilly getting a bit of a boost as Biden looking at including these GLP-1s under Medicare, Brendo.
Yeah, AMGN getting really hurt, 11.5% right now. I saw Novo trades over in Europe as well, was down this morning as well. So we'll keep an eye on those for sure. There's Rivian, as you mentioned, 8.8%. Just made a new high, coming back in a little bit here, but 1260, 1250. I guess if you zoom out, probably a more important level. But yeah, huge day yesterday for Rivian. Ends the day relatively strong. We get the huge gap up, almost like somebody knew something was coming on a day when the overall market was a little bit weak. So we'll keep an eye on Rivian this morning as well. Obi, back in for Sean today. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Sean's still feeling under the weather. We'll be locked and loaded anyways. And the verdict's in after earnings, last night and this morning. And clearly, Dick's clearly growing more rapidly than all the other earnings names. And, Sharif is yelling out, is there any shrinkage with Dick's? No, it's all growth here. Almost 9% to the upside. You're bleeding over in Kohl's. It's nasty. Kohl's is nasty. This could resemble something like we saw with Gap, and we were just talking about that with Obi. Zoom, however, caught another bid. So Zoom was down double digits, and now all of a sudden it's up down only 6%. So there's a heck of a lot to look at. I know we talk about this holiday shortened week and all that good stuff, but there was certainly enough volatility to go around yesterday. No questions asked. You just had to be careful, pick your spots. And I don't think we even mentioned 92 on Bitcoin. So you're getting this pullback off 100,000. Obviously, the 90,000 will be like a good psychological number in there, but you're getting this healthy pullback after we didn't break or failed to get to 100K in Bitcoin, and some of the usual suspects are pulling back, and I think into some support levels where I think we can expect some kind of a bounce, but a healthy pullback in crypto off 100,000, and unhealthy pullback in Kohl's as far as I'm concerned, because I had to zoom out far enough on the Kohl's chart to be able to find the all-time low, but it is not looking good over there. Not looking great for crypto. But hey, today, NVIDIA is up 1.5% and bouncing on its 50 SMA. It kind of feels like we could have a temp bounce in NVIDIA today.
Yeah, no, I'm watching a lot of these earnings names as well. I did a quick scan here. I like that. I like that Dick's Sporting Good, but it is near all-time highs. But I don't know. It might be. You got to watch it. It might be a little illiquid. talking to a couple of fellow traders about it. But I like the stock here. Very strong off of some of these prior levels that are 200 hold. As well, again, throwing up a quick anchored right there. It's going to come in just where that current day's VWAP is as well. So let's take a quick look at higher time frame on this one. Going straight to the weekly, you can see pre-market is trading at 234s. All-time highs is at 238 right here. That was printed a few months ago, actually. So in August, so the week of August 19th, we printed those all-time highs. But yeah, no, due to the liquidity, I don't know how dysfunctional this trade on DIX will be, but that's one of the names definitely that I'll definitely be watching. ANF as well, another retailer reporting today, but nothing. Oh, ANF. So very, very strong chart. We were talking about this one in 23 and 24, absolutely wild strength, and it's found a bit of a base here on top of that 130 and trading at 154s right now, but lower highs, bit of a compression here. Didn't really do too much on earnings. A little bit of a nothing burger right here, pretty much sideways action, muted. But I also like ADI right here. ADI, very, very strong. It's been running up into earnings, and it gets that strong push off of earnings as well. And then there's one more, Woodward. Woodward's coming out of the woodworks here as, again, breaking through some multi-month highs. So going to the weekly right here. Actually, you know what? These are all-time highs on Woodward. Never mind.
That's a crazy chart.
Okay, so Woodward. All right, so I didn't assess that one. I think it was Samtech, SMTC, that was breaking out. Yeah, okay, so this one is breaking out of a couple multi-year highs, SMTC. So this one, again, a lot of either all-time highs, 52-week highs breaking on some of these tickers. Again, a muted week. Potentially less volume, but I'm going to be watching for opportunities on some of these earnings day one names as they push for some fresh highs.
I was actually expecting that you were going to have a pun for that Woodward stock when we had that chart up there, but we appreciate you laying off that one. I think it would be a little bit too easy to make that one go. No, I wasn't thinking that way, Fabian. No, it's no, we're thinking another way there. No, but like as you said, there's going to be a lot to look at today. I think this is one of those days. And don't forget, you had so many small and mid-cap runners. That's why we're looking at Rivian. But we have to, before I throw it back to the desk, let's just acknowledge the fact that, hey, okay, so I didn't think it would get there day one, and it got really close. I'm talking to you, Zena. It didn't get to $10 yesterday. I was pretty skeptical that it would. Day two, Zena goes all the way to 10. The Warrior stock ends up obliging all the longs, so that you got the gap up. That said, there's already a bit of a heavy bid coming into this one. Like it's been battling this $10 level on the way back. So watch out for this. You saw the run. Like it was up, come on, it was up over 300% at the close, and then it made another move into $8. So I would suspect there would be some profit takers coming back in here this morning. It does make some sense after a gap like this that you're going to see some profit taking on Zena. So just be a little bit careful. Well under VWAP, now threatening the $10 level. But what a ride that was in the afternoon. Let's head on to the desk. We got a lot to discuss.
Kind of pointless. We were talking about Zoom. Big bounce underway right now. Still down significantly, guys, here for Zoom. 6.7%. Still says Zoom video communications up here, but as of 5 p.m. on Monday, they've dropped the video. I'm not sure that's the biggest noteworthy part of this earnings report, but I don't really understand that. But no more Zoom video communications, now just Zoom communications. But I mean, a decent report. The forecast a little bit light here, but revenue beating, EPS beating. There's so much competition in this space. We were talking about it before we came on this morning. I still find Zoom very clunky and unnecessarily complicated to actually use, where there's, you know, Google's product that's just one click and you're in a meeting kind of thing.
And you're part of the ecosystem, which makes everything a lot easier. Zoom, you're not really doing that. Yeah, to build on your point, I couldn't really find what was wrong with this report. Profitability, $207 million in the quarter. That's take-home money, and that's also 47% more than they made last year. Adjusted earnings beat analyst expectations. Revenue surpassing the forecast, Brendo. Enterprise revenue continued to grow. Online revenue for regular retail customers, that remained flat. You got to wonder maybe that's what's keeping things down. Their guide, they expect revenue of 4 2/3 billion, up from 4.6 earlier than that. And their adjusted EPS in terms of profitability for their guide higher than the forecast, so I can't really figure out what was wrong.
Yeah, and market agreeing at this point with a nice bounce underway. I mean, the overall action after the close yesterday when this came out was kind of back and forth. We do end the aftermarket session to the downside, basically at the lows, but nice bounce underway, as I mentioned here, guys.
You know, when we sat down, or at least when I sat down this morning, I was kind of thinking, hey, Zoom down 10%, that's going to be the SSR bounce, because mostly it was a good report. So we'll sprinkle a little buyback action on that one. And I thought for sure we'd be talking about, hold on to 80 for an SSR bounce. Now all of a sudden, when I say SSR bounce, short sell restricted, down 10% at the open, that's going to apply to Coles and unlikely to be Zoom here. That said, I don't want to completely write off the notion that some selling doesn't come into this thing at said open. You got obvious support there at 78. And then the $80 level, while also being psychological, had some support there going into last week as well. It has to get to about, it's like $80 and, I don't know, like $80.10 or something around there. It's just in front of the $80 level effectively that it would be 10% down. So you do have to get down here for a standard SSR bounce, which is what I'd be looking for. If you have to guess, and ultimately price action matters and what we think of the report doesn't, sometimes it's just the run that it had made going into earnings was pretty spectacular. You're failing a bit of a high, so like I guess a healthy pullback was in order for them. If it doesn't hold on to 80, there's an obvious support level down here at 78. So those are the places that I want to shoot for on Zoom, assuming we get some kind of a dip. Volume's good. We like these earnings plays. There was some continuation, the last couple of weeks on some of these earnings names. And I think you want to go where your bread has been buttered, which is making sure you're looking at active names. There's a reason, I mean, maybe not today for NVIDIA, because I think NVIDIA actually looks good today, but there's a reason we've been backing off of NVIDIA yesterday. There just wasn't much to do unless you were short the stock. So you got to look for the opportunities where they lie. And these earnings names, like Zoom, ideally would give us the dip buy, look pretty spicy.
I mean, I like that push back up right here. Again, I'm going to point out that anchored once more, anchoring to the earnings reaction right here coming into the close, or right after the close yesterday. This little bid up has us coming into that anchored sitting at that 84.26. We're trading just shy of 83 right now. So yeah, we're trading below it. So I'm just going to use it as I would any sort of VWAP, kind of observe what price does in and around this area, just to give us some direction, give us an idea of who may or may not be in charge of the price on the day, and we're trading below it. We've extended to a pre-market low of 78.38, and a nice little bid up here on this on some of this volume that's coming in after 7 a.m. right here. So I'm curious to know whether or not we'll make it past this 84.85 price on Zoom. Definitely one to watch on the day today. So that's what I'll be watching on Zoom video. Let's see if we get a zoom to the upside or to the downside, but either way, I think the call might be on.
Ooh, I like that.
Talking about that?
All right, we mentioned Rivian catching a bid on some funding news. We'll get to that coming up. But Tesla back higher again this morning, only just 0.25% here in positive territory after that pretty ugly sell-off into the close yesterday. After, remember, if you go back to the pre-market yesterday, nice gap to the upside. That was closed immediately, and then we get that sharp sell-off. On that California note, I mean, that was really the only significant thing that came out late in the day yesterday. I mean, you have the details of it, but very Gavin Newsom of him.
Yeah, you're setting me up. You're setting me up. All right, look, here's the deal. If Donald Trump cuts the federal EV tax credit, which right now is about $7,500, give or take, Gavin Newsom and the state of California are going to step in to fund that kind, or fill the void there. However, one exception, one car company going to be excluded from that subsidy. Yes, Tesla is the one. Elon Musk didn't waste any time, went on X, obviously called it very unfair, especially since he's producing about 500,000 vehicles in the state and employing a plethora of people. Some other state representatives from the Democratic side went on X, Brendo, and basically disparaged this whole policy.
so
We'll have to
crazy.
see if it goes through. I mean, I can't even believe this.
You're being very polite.
Yes, I am.
Let's quote it accurately here. This was Elon's quote on X, guys. Yes, exactly. It's
Yes.
insane. It's absolutely insane. So a little bit of a bump here, anyways, this morning to start, guys, for Tesla.
Yeah, there are a few things I could say about it. Look, it's ridiculous. Who else? Nobody actually even makes cars in California except for Tesla. What are we even talking about here? And I get it. Like, politics are politics, so it is what it is, and you got to be able to live with it. The price action on Tesla was nasty yesterday, and I said this a lot yesterday, and you have to be willing to have this be true. Tesla was a green stock, but it's all well and good that a couple of longs set up exactly how you want it, like prior high, and then the 3, and then a bounce off. It gets crazy. Just basically look at the 2 prior highs, the last couple of sessions, and those were the bounces where, like, you can see this one line up with the morning bounce there, and then the prior high line up with that bounce. So, like, that long worked, and that long worked, and both were good into VWAP. That's great. So a couple of good mean reversions. But the short was the way to go on Tesla yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't have it, but you look for those long setups, and you just try to make money on the trades that you end up taking. So it is what it is. That said, today, you're diddling a little bit in the middle. We know there's this 330 to 335 area here that's got support on Tesla. So we're trading at 40s. So, I look at this and say, well, this time we're not looking for prior highs. It's just somewhere in front of that 330 level that I want to look at buys. And again, be patient with it. But you cannot ignore, you can say head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. If we get into the mid 40s, this looks like a fade up here around 47, 48. So I do want to respect both directions. Where you're a little bit closer to support than you are to what I think is the prior resistance, and that's going to be in the mid 40s. So I think it's a little more likely we test those low 30s for the bounce play on Tesla. So just going to try and take that shot. I am favoring a pop and fade, but the resistance level is far away, meaning it has to set itself up. And it might just be a pullback into like the afternoon low, and then we look for a curl or a mean revert on Tesla. But there's going to be a lot of patience required. I feel as if today, with Kohl's doing what it's doing and Rivian doing what it's doing, and actually NVIDIA looking pretty decent, this is one we might have to wait a little bit after the open on and not just take anything at 9:30 on Tesla.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. That support level, that 335, definitely stands out right off the bat, and we've already kind of tested it in the pre-market right here, holding above some of these after-hour consolidation highs as well as of right now, trading just shy of that 340. So yeah, I'm going to be looking for this level to continue holding on the week, and if we get a distinct breakdown through that 335, I think that's a potential for some decision making as well. If we can come back down into 320s here, 324 prior high on Tesla. But yeah, as of right now and yesterday's price action, we're looking a little double toppy here at that 362. Because if you look at this high, that's 362.80. This high was 362.79, Neil. A penny away from that prior high. That was made once again on Tuesday, the 12th. Just a couple weeks ago, there in the pre-market, right off of the 4 a.m. open, which pretty much was it off of the 4 a.m. open? Yeah, so 4 a.m. open, and then that traded a little bit higher than prior day highs in and around that 358. So technically, we did kind of attempt to push that high. We failed to follow through. We didn't even crack it by anything. We actually were short by a penny, and then we're coming right back into some of the support levels. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching this 335 to 330 on the day today to see if we can kind of continue yesterday's momentum. They're aggressive selling into the close as well here on Tesla.
Next on the show, we'll touch base with Mitch Hoke here, analyst over at. Okay, one way or the other, Fabian. We can do it after. It's all good, no problem. I was going to mention news releases coming across here. Shout out to our friends over at Red Light Holland, former guest on the show. He's been on a number of times. Todd Shapiro, CEO, teaming up with Irvine Labs to supply raw material for manufacturing microdosing psilocybin. So you can check out them. Truff, TRUFF on the OTC. TRIP, TRIP, the ticker here in Toronto on the CSE. All right, enough of that. Let's bring in Mitch. More exciting things to talk about here. Mitch, how are you? First of all, good to see you.
Oh, I'm doing great, man. There's not many times in the market where I feel like I'm just yelling at the computer. I need more buying power, and that's exactly what it feels like is going on right now. Of course, trade the pool, I have that option. But I know that I'm calling out all the traders for the stock competition. I want to hear what you guys are going to be trading because it's coming up right now. December 5th, it starts, guys, 5-day stock trading battle. So all you guys in the chat that are always putting up those trade ideas, always sending trade ideas to Sean. Hey, well, this is your opportunity to shine. I want to see you guys over there. Of course, it kicks off on December 2nd. You get 200,000 in buying power. So you probably won't be like me yelling for some more buying power. But the time's ticking, guys. Sign up now and show us what you got. I know a lot of you guys have some great ideas in the chat. I catch them all the time. I'm excited to talk some stocks, though. Did you guys see Best Buy this morning?
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing all these retailers. I mean, Dick's Sporting Goods, there's Kohl's, there's Best Buy as well. Where do you want to start? Jump in. BBY.
Yeah, so let's talk retail, right? I mean, I've been trying to give you guys the idea of this trade coming early, right? The Black Friday trade, right? And I try to be early on trends because I think that's really where the edge can be, right? Is if we're early on these events, looking to see these charts start to prop up. Best Buy was one that I mentioned last week. Today, of course, the earnings come in, but throw those earnings out the window because right now the focus is more on the current event that's happening, which is Black Friday. So what are we going to get, of course, on Friday and Monday? We'll start getting some statistics on how the sales went. But by then, I think the stocks have already risen. We've seen XRT start to take off. This morning, it is down in the pre-market. So I guess it gives us an opportunity for those traders that didn't get in to look for these retail trades. So Best Buy, I think, is definitely one that you look at. And what did they mention was the negatives? It was new iPhones not selling as much, AI-enabled laptops. So I think this all kind of flips here in, of course, the holiday time as we get these Black Friday deals and you know how everyone is. They start buying the gifts now because they think they're going to get the best deal, right? So I'll be looking to see a bunch of these names move. Let's just run through some retail names here because, man, there's not many times, but I have so many trade ideas like this right now. So we'll do a really quick rundown of retail. So right now I'm seeing Lulu get a really nice move yesterday. I was trading it and it looked awesome. A&F this morning comes in with their earnings. That's something definitely to keep an eye out. And the earnings were great. The only real warning going into the summer months of next year. And I would put a warning on those months also. But for right now in the holiday, everything looks good. And their newest brand, right, the brand that is getting to the new Gen Z and the new Gen, right, is what Hollister, and that's doing great. So I expect good things from A&F and AEO, which is another one to keep an eye out that just started moving. And of course, we know that Gap has been moving, Levi has been moving, but we could also take a look at footwear. Look at Nike. Nike just got started yesterday. It looks great. It's already had a nice pullback. Earnings have brought it down to more a fair valuation. And I'd keep an eye out on this one, along with the shoes that have holes, Crocs. Crocs is another one to keep on watch as the shoes with holes have been struggling with their sales. That's where things need to change. But potentially here, a Black Friday deal, some holiday sales, maybe they can at least bring in some optimism into the stock with some good catalyst numbers there. So the last one is, of course, the platforms to watch, which are Shopify and Amazon. Amazing trade on Shopify yesterday. A nice $500 trade. Can't get mad about that. Shopify looking good here on the daily, just recently had a nice spike, held the 9 EMA pullback, and now is starting to curl up. This looks awesome. And the last one I'll give you guys, one that not talked about often, Wayfair. Wayfair is definitely one to watch in this Black Friday run.
All right, give us your game plan here, Mitch, for Black Friday. Are you a TV guy? Are you an iPad guy? What's your target for sales shopping?
This is a good one to talk about because I think it's an interesting one to think about, right? It's the VR side of things. So I'm thinking about maybe picking up the Oculus 3, right? Okay. And the big thing there is I like watching a lot of sports, and there's like the front row viewing kind of side of things. So I'm like, well, I mean, this actually seems interesting, right? Because let's just be honest, the average person not going to be sitting front row sports too often, right? But with VR, maybe we can do that. So I'm looking at that as being a potential side that could see an increase. So I'd also look to see if Meta could get a run into the holidays, right? That's a little surprise trade that could be there. And I think that you got to continue to watch multiple trades here. Apple is very, very one to watch right now because I think they're selling. I think there's profit taking by the big boys in NVIDIA and rotating that money to Apple. Why would they do that? Because they expect to see Apple and AI intelligence really kick off next year. And with all those features coming out, I could see Apple having a better 2025 than NVIDIA can. And why? Just because of the valuation, right? And that's really what it comes into play here. And I think that a lot of people are thinking that Apple's not really kicked off in the AI game. And we're looking at that potential for AI 2.0 coming in with, of course, regulation or no regulation maybe coming from Trump in AI, which could help all these players continue pushing.
We had a couple of analysts come through yesterday with their, it's the end of the year, so you start getting those projections of where everyone thinks the market's going to be at the end of next year. I saw 7,000 for the S&P from one of those yesterday. So maybe
you know how it is, man.
Yeah.
It's just pick a number, right? It's pick a number, right? And I think that they just start looking at historical data. I think the important thing is going to necessarily be is the beginning of the year, because a lot of times, just like we got it in majority of the times where we get a nice little front run in the beginning of the year and then a tough summer month. So I think right now there's an important trade that's talked about often. That's right now, today, Tuesday until the beginning of the year, right? And a lot of people call this the holiday trade, right? This is when it starts. Right now, specifically on Tuesday, the stats say this is when it goes towards the beginning of the year, and then it goes to the first 3 days of the new year, which of course is that kind of new year rally with the small cap names. And small caps are ones to watch. If you really think about it in the holiday time, the stats say that the small caps outperform the large caps. So just something to keep an eye out. And of course, with Trump there, I think it helps the small caps continue getting the lift. So keep your eyes on that IWM. And there's more and more to talk about. I mean, I could go on for days and days today, man. I'm telling you guys. I'm sorry, I run the show if I could, man. But what about the autonomous plays? Mobileye was one that we talked about just recently. It's continuing to move here. And I think this is one that you cannot keep your eyes off. Autonomous is so a big focus because the real key was going to come when did these go to the regulatories and say, hey, we really want to put this out there, right? And this is going to be the change. This is why I think Elon worked himself into government. It's not because he wanted to fight for free speech. I know that everyone's going to go on that side, not to be political, but I think the key here is the cash in his pocket. He knows if he gets autonomous going, robo-taxi, a Tesla really becomes a tech company. I know that a lot of people call it that, but really, what is it under? When I look it up, it's auto manufacturer. Overnight, if autonomous really takes off, it becomes a software company. And I think that's the important thing here. That's the change in fundamentals and why you're seeing Tesla jump so high. So what do I want to do? I want to have a couple of lotto plays, like maybe LIDR, LIZR, Mobileye, AUR. I want to go ahead and have a diversified basket here to potentially catch a monster move. And one last area to look at that most are not looking in, and this is just more investment conversation, is lithium. Take a look at PLL as one of those charts that are just starting to look prime. And what I'm looking for is if we are going to get this, big EV rally and EVs are really going to come into play, everyone has always said it. It needs to first start with the underlying asset, which of course is lithium.
Mitch had a lot of coffee this morning, and we appreciate all the insight.
Man, fire.
Great stuff. Ton of ideas, lots of storylines, obviously going into the new year as well. Mitch Hope, analyst over at Trade the Pool. Good to see you.
Definitely, and check it out, guys. We got 10% off right now for Black Friday and a brand new limited deal that I tell you right now is prime, guys. Check it out. I'll see you guys over there.
Thanks, Mitch.
Yeah, big shout out to Mitch there. Some great ideas. And look, when talking about those small caps, we've seen it. You're seeing them run. It's not just about the squeeze names. This is why things like Refrain are going. You've got to look where the rotation is happening. We've been talking about the energy names, the nuclear energy names were running a little bit of a pullback yesterday, and then now you're starting to see some quantum computing names going in the smaller cap space. But I just wanted to quickly make a note about Meta before we throw up the desk and talk some futures, because Meta is trying to break channel. Look, it's not a crazy channel down. Obviously, if I zoom out, it's a trend to the upside. We all know what Meta's chart looks like if I zoom it out a little bit further. But since it made the fresh high, it has been holding a pullback. It has a chance to now close above that and run the 50 period. So it looks like it's made a bit of a rounded bottom here at the 550, and you're starting to climb. This is not one to sleep on, I don't think. As long as it can hold the 560 this week. I wanted above the 50 period for a breakout. Confirm this with a little bit of a close above that level, but it's looking awfully good for Meta. Maybe not the great one today. And then before we go back to this, I said we were going to throw back, but I just wanted to shout to NVIDIA, which did a little bit of a dip. NVIDIA's still been climbing higher here. And yeah, there's been a rotation and money's come out of NVIDIA since earnings, but it caught a nice bottom off that 135, the 50 period moving average. And now I like this VWAP and the 135 as well. So there's a heck of a lot to look at. I mean, we'll talk about all of them. The CDP, talking about the airlines running hot. UAL has been absolute fire. There's a lot for us to cover in today, but let's see how the futures are doing up at the desk.
We closed out above 6,000 points, guys, 6,005. So we're already using that 6,000 point level as a level of support. If we continue to maintain it right now, we're almost at the overnight high at 6,023, excuse me. As you saw, we got to 6,037 yesterday at the high, so we'll use that level as resistance, and we'll use 6,000 as support.
Yeah, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab an absolutely free resource. As per usual, it comes out every single morning. The market is open before we come on at 8:30, as everything you need to know in the pre-market, what's moving around and why, delivered right to your inbox. Top link in the description down below gets you that for free. Coinbase, we'll talk about crypto to lead things off here. Coinbase, I just noted, trying to get back above 300. That's tough to see, but that's 300 right now. We are stalling out at ever so slightly here for coin. But yeah, the march towards 100,000 here seems to be paused for the time being. Bit of a pullback yesterday. MSTR downside this morning. That's Coinbase down 4% right now. That's not wrong.
Yeah, we're down, Brendo, about to the lows, 92,300 there, which is about 5.9% from the all-time highs after that post-election high. It's not just Bitcoin that's dropping. Ether fell 4.4%. You had Solana drop 9.3%. The total crypto market as a whole lost about $182 billion. So market cap now of about $3.35 trillion. But when you look at what some of the experts are saying, case in point, Matty Greenspan's perspective says typically when you come into that level of resistance, there is going to be a further area of consolidation before we retest those highs again. That's being echoed by some others, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, Brendo.
Yeah, there's a few things moving around right now. I just saw Pizza, which is Papa John's, PZZA, Subway CEO, John Chidsey, stepping down at the end of the year under Pizza, PZZA, but not doing anything on that.
Not moving. You know what? Actually, completely unrelated to that story, believe me. But they just popped into my head because I made the mistake this morning. Don't forget Palantir is now on the NASDAQ, everybody. So I know it's not on our rundown or anything, but if you try to type it, if you try to pull up Palantir, at least especially at realtrading.ny, I was staring at a blank, and I'm like, why is nothing coming up? Because it's moved on over to the NASDAQ. But in terms of Bitcoin, look, I said yesterday, I thought like after we lost that battle with 100K on BTC, yeah, we're headed down around to 90,000 or so. So, I think you got maybe one more leg to push down before we start looking for some support and a reversion and a rally. I think that's the kind of thing that can come into play today or tomorrow. When you look at some of the individual names, you start to think about where the support is on some of these. I think Coin's got a little bit more just in terms of an obvious 275, 280 that it can play back into. The one that I have up on the radar, really, I only wrote one of them down, to be honest with you guys, and it was Mara, the 22. It was the most obvious level. It doesn't feel like we've got enough juice to get there. But if we do get one more push down, you got that big fail on Mara, but it's a little closer to the highs than the rest. It's got the short squeeze on it. I feel like it was trending a little bit outsized. It was able to break through when Bitcoin didn't break through. So if we were to continue down, I really like the long when we catch a bounce off of 90,000. Now, will we get to 22 today? I don't know that that's going to be the case. That said, it could go, if it hits 10% down, that could set an SSR bounce up on Mara. And I do like this area between 22 and 23. So that's the one I'll look for some kind of a mean reversion on as we're continuing to fall. I'm anticipating, that 90,000 area where we had some support should have it again. If we get down, just going to patiently wait. If we get down there, going to be looking bounce plays, but Mara first. I'm not touching MSTR. I think Coin 275, 280 does look okay, but it's Mara that I'm a little more interested in if we do fall further.
Yeah, I think something to point out is a bit of a trend on Bitcoin. If we're looking at some of these crypto names and trying to see where we might be headed going into the shortened week this week, Bitcoin again, obviously you should be having an eye on that, and you can see that we've been holding this trend for the most part of this month. You can see that we kind of pushed up earlier on in the month here off of a bit of a higher time frame trend break, got through that 70,000, 75, 85. Oh boy, we went all the way to 99, 860s, but a bit of a trend break right here happening as of yesterday. And yeah, some of these tickers are taking a bit of a relief. You can see Coinbase on a higher time frame as well, pulling back kind of off of its highs, bit of a double topping action here. Thank you, Randy. 344, a bit of a double topping action there on Coinbase as well. So Mara, Riot, going to be having eyes on those as well. Mara kind of looking a little bit different than the rest of them. It is kind of trading more near its highs when you look back at it. But they kind of had a pullback off of earnings, and we kind of reclaimed some of those highs from prior earnings as well. MSTR, of course, a lot of eyes on this name, and I think after what happened last week, a bit of a continuation move, and we're making a bit of a base here at that 370. So I'm pretty like if we trade lower, next price I'm looking for is that 320. That's where that bid kind of came in and held for multiple days before we got that strong run up all the way through 500 for a high of 548. So MSTR, what are those lows, you may ask? 371.50 as of right now, and pre-market we've already started testing some of those levels. So can we look for a continuation? Potentially. I'll be looking for price action in and around some of these levels. Now, of course, I want some of that Bitcoin tailwind as well if we're looking for that short to continue to the downside. What's going on, guys?
Randy's making the change.
Let's talk about Bitcoin pulling back, and Randy's changing that bull to a bear. I like that.
Well, the red coffee
and the red cup. You gotta have some confluence, a little bit of confluence. Yeah, Coles is nasty. Watching KSS right here. Yeah.
When we get to retail earnings, I mean, like if you've had your breakfast recently, maybe you don't want to look at that chart, but yeah, it's not a good-looking daily chart on Coles. That's it's not good at all.
It's making me hungry.
Thanks, Randy. Coles is making you hungry?
Yeah. I think it might be a good opportunity.
Oh, I think, yes. SSR bounce galore, where that sucker is going to be.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about Rivian, baby, because Rivian's getting off the shine. I mean, Randy walks away because he's mic dropping that $10 level on Rivian.
6.6 billion is not a little amount of money. That's going to go into more manufacturing capability here for Rivian. 7.3%. We're off the highs right now. Got up to about 1280, 1285 at those highs. We'll see if this can hold. But huge day yesterday, as we said, for Rivian as well.
Yeah, the Department of Energy doling out some money, and you mentioned 6.6 billion. It's going to be used to support the construction of a new production facility in Stanton Springs North in Georgia. Just to give you some context here, so Rivian expects no more than 50,000 vehicles delivered by the end of this year. However, once the Georgia plant is under or is done construction, they expect capacity about 400,000. Here's the thing, though. There's not going to be any shovels in the ground until 2028, so don't hold your breath in terms of an expansion for that capacity. Separately, Brendo, Rivian did bump up yesterday about 13% on the back of that California EV tax credit news, so good look for them.
Yeah, nice move. I wanted to point out this. Tough to see up there, but relative volume right now is 1. So not a heck of a lot of participation behind this.
What's happening?
I think that's also a reason to look for a key dip area here in Rivian. So, look, the last time Rivian was here, which was not that long ago, you just got to go back to the middle of November, just a couple of weeks ago, when it lost this prior high. Like, essentially the high yesterday was this support here at 1185. So technically it's kind of simple, I think, for myself technically. And then you had this top here was about 1215, 1210, 1215. This was the channel where we closed, the channel that we lost, and the channel we resisted yesterday. So dip into this channel, look longs underneath it, don't fight. As long as it can hold inside here or above here, I'm looking dips. That's on the bottom side, that's 1185. On the top side, I think I said 1215 in the chat when someone asked me about it, but it's more like 1210. But that's the target area to look for dip by because it's still decent volume, I think, but compared to yesterday, it was a massive move yesterday. This is where I want to look dip buys on Rivian. As far as the daily chart goes, the other thing that's confirmed with that 12 level is the 200 period moving average as well sits up here on Rivian. So it fits with the theme of rotation. It's got a catalyst going today, but I am looking dip buy into that 12 even area. That's the channel I want to buy Rivian. We'll be there at the open.
Yeah, I think something to note is that strong action yesterday, trading near or above that $11 mark there, 1180s or so are prior day's highs, and we gapped up and are pushing or holding above those levels as of right now. So right away, again, strong volume. You already know what I like to do right here. So when that strong volume comes in, let's drop in that anchor that's potentially a 2-day anchored as well now on Rivian. That's all the way down here at 1158. So we're trading well extended past that point, and you can see that volume starting to come in as well. So yesterday we were doing about 3 times the relative volume here. Now my R-vol is a 5 period. And in the pre-market, we're doing significantly more relative to prior days pre-market action as well. So definitely one that's going to be on watch. We talked about this one yesterday, Neil and I, for that opening drive, how clean it was through those prior highs. So I'm going to be looking for more of the same. And if we do pull back, 1158 might be a place to get involved here, maybe look at the tape as well. So it seems like that bid was pretty strong as it's continuing quite well on the day today. So definitely one on watch.
Shout out to our friends over at VinFast, up nicely here pre-market to the tune of about 4%. The company just reported their Q3 financial results. Here's what all the buzz is about. Q3 deliveries up 115% year over year, 22,000 EVs delivered. Revenue, a solid $512 million. That's up 42% from Q2. And that's not all. Gross margins improved by nearly 4,000 basis points compared to Q2. VinFast is now Vietnam's undisputed EV champion after pivoting to pure EV strategy just 2 years ago. They've zoomed past global brands in the market, growing the retail sales in Vietnam by 159% quarter over quarter. An unbelievable 504% year over year in Q3. VFS, check them out today. Again, up about 4%. Let's talk about some retail earnings here this morning. Thank you. VFS, as we said, positive on the day, 4%. Here's Kohl's, not so much. Just made a session low here, sliced through 15 like it wasn't even there. We're now down 20% on the morning here for Kohl's. Pretty ugly. We showed a couple early on this morning that were better than expected. This is exactly the opposite. Nothing good about this report at all. Even the guidance going forward, a bit of a miss as well. Sales decrease 7 to 8%. That's the forecast for Kohl's. So getting hurt here. You have another one.
Yeah. Dick's Sporting Goods doing a little bit better, so kind of the opposite story as of Kohl's. Let's talk about how they did. They exceeded Wall Street's expectations for both EPS, earnings per share, and revenue net income. That take-home money, that profitability rose $228 million, up from $201 last year, so good growth there. In terms of where they actually saw the growth, while Q3 was quite good, seeing about 4.2% increase year over year, largely due to a better than expected back-to-school season, Brendo. So good look there. With respect to the full year guide, they did boost up their guide up to 3.6 to 4.2% in terms of growth, and the company anticipates a strong holiday quarter after some cautious projections initially with Donald Trump winning. So we'll keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, Mitch with a good point on all of these with Black Friday just around the corner. We obviously won't get that affecting this report, but into the next quarterly report. But here's Best Buy as well. We spoke to Mitch about 3.8% downside, but much more choppy back and forth action for BBY.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at, and you got to pick your poison, when you're looking at which one of these names to trade, it's just going to depend on the type of setup that you're looking for. To me, Best Buy at 3.5%, diddling in the middle of a range, this is the one that just screams stay away. Like if you caught this bouncing off of 86 early in the pre-market, congratulations. Like that's your play. Maybe you faded off of a level like 93. In the middle, not going to touch it. You got to let that one settle down. Dick's is clearly the strong one, no questions asked, but even that has now pulled back in on incredibly light liquidity. So for me, that's a stay away from Dick's. You run into some trouble at the 52-week high 240, and it starts pulling back off there. Obviously, in normal circumstances, prior highs dip by into 220. I think that's the kind of level that I would like on Dick's. However, Kohl's has done almost $4 million in volume. It's got the kiss of death right now. See what I did there? Down almost 20%. It's going to be short sell restricted. You got to zoom out the chart to find a $10 all-time low, 10 and change, as Obi was pointing out to me earlier, but I think the play for myself is going to look for the mean reversion on Kohl's. Down this far, it's got a pretty solid short float, nothing crazy like UAVS, which a lot of people are looking at, but 32% short float on Kohl's, and trending down, making fresh lows. When shorts win, covering and profit taking can happen, and shorts have been winning on this stock the entire way. Now that you're getting under 15, if it can, the second it holds an even dollar level, like a 14.50, a 14 even, a 15 even, possibly at the open, and pulls the mean reversion on, I want that tight stopped entry. Just give me that lower high that I can play off of, a capitulation bottom, get in like a ninja, throw the stop at the prior low, and then look for the retracement back into VWAP. So that's where I'll be hunting on the pre-market. At the open at 9:30, we'll be on Kohl's. I mean, the first stop would be just either regaining 15 or that 14.5 level. But it's a very particular and patient setup, not just bidding every single price. And you'll see, just like yesterday at the open, got to be particular. Like there were dip buys on Tesla yesterday, even though it bled all the way to the downside. But you had to wait for a key level to come in, show bid, and then catch it, throw yourself a tight stop, make sure you take profit, and then be willing to get out if it reclaimed that low.
Yeah, I think a lot of good earnings names on watch today. ANF is a retail name that I'm watching as well. It's currently bidding up in the pre-market. Again, some solid earnings here. Double beat, pushing some fresh highs that haven't really been touched in about a couple of weeks right here. Again, prior high 167.66, and prior earnings high, which comes in with a bit of a consolidation with the days or weeks leading up to it, was that 170, 171 level. So let's see if we can get up there. We're about 10 points, roughly about 9 points away from there, with ANF continuing to push up in the pre-market right here. This is a 30-minute chart now. This is a 3-minute chart, and you can see that we've just been kind of just trickling to the upside past that 150 as well. And yeah, no, KSS definitely one on watch for me. Again, you guys already seen me put that anchored VWAP on there, and we're extending lower and lower off of it. So this thing, like Neil just pointed out, has been trending down on a higher time frame, and we get that bit of a gap, a little bit of a push down towards that $15 area that we're churning around as of right now. So that's definitely one on watch. And yeah, DKS as well, Dick's Sporting Goods. Another one, you can see that I put that anchored on there already. We're trading below it. So yeah, it seems like the price action is shriveling a little bit on this one, back below that anchored as of right now. Let's see if we get any strong pullbacks. But I don't know, this one might be a little bit harder to trade. But yeah, I don't know if well, SMC Stantec isn't really retail, but those are kind of the three retail names that I have on watch today. Again, in recent times we had the Gap earnings, we had Macy's, we had Target, we had Walmart as well, and I think it's good to kind of keep in mind what those tickers did as well off of the open, and let's see if some of these retail names follow in step. I'm liking Kohl's. For sure.
I'm impressed with your ability to throw those puns in there with a straight face. I'll tell you guys right now, when they're going to make a remake of the Police Academy, effectively, like the Naked Gun series, and I think you should be Frank Drebin the way you can throw those out there, because there's no way I'm making a shriveled comment without giggling and laughing to you guys there. But let's throw it back up to the desk and talk some Zoom. Well played, Obi. Well played.
All right. I was just going through a couple of analyst reports here. There's a number of them. Wells Fargo, just one of those. Hi. Here's Wells Fargo maintaining their underweight on Zoom, raising their price target, though, to $70. For the most part, analysts with a negative look at this report. Initially, the sell-off, as if you're with us in 30 minutes, we went over it, trying to bounce right now back to 85. But for the most part, again, analysts looking downside today.
Yeah, they clearly know something that I don't know here, because I really can't, well, from this summary, I really can't discern what's going on, why it's negative in any event. They did report profitability that boosted 47% year over year. Nice move up there for profitability. Earnings per share beat estimates, revenue beat estimates. The main driver of revenue growth here was enterprise. So they're really getting bigger companies online. They do expect slightly higher guide as well, or they did a guide slightly higher than the street was looking for in terms of revenue and EPS. So we'll have to keep an eye out on this one. Off the lows though, Brendo.
Yeah, nicely so far. Still 5.5% though, guys, for Zoom.
Yeah, so I feel like this one's gotten away from us a little bit. Like when I sat down and when I made my note this morning, one of the reasons why I kind of pivot to looking for the SSR bounce on Kohl's is because Zoom already made the bounce. So like it is what it is. Like I had already sort of tweeted it out, and this stock decided after 8 o'clock that it was going to get well away from the $80 level that we're looking for an SSR bounce off of. And now you've already tagged 85. And one of the reasons I liked it, A, already uptrend, B, slap a buyback on that bad boy on the earnings, and then C, you had support under here at 78. You had a good channel into the 80 level, which was a key price level. We thought we'd get a shot at it. Look, it's still possible. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's impossible that Zoom pulls back in, gets into VWAP, supports the 80, and then you go for a relief rally long. It could happen. I just feel as if, with Kohl's underneath 15, that's going to present some kind of a bounce trade off the open, or at least a reason to attempt the trade. So I'm just going to have to back away from Zoom. I do want to acknowledge something before we, I know we have intel to talk about, but let's be real. For those of you that are watching UAVS and it's 56% short float,
Oh boy.
This just pulled through VWAP here, so just be a little bit careful. I know a lot of times you get a big gap up and a run and you lose a consolidation like this. It could get nasty, but keep in mind, this was $5 in the afternoon supporting $5 and then supporting $5 most of the pre-market. So if it loses VWAP here, this is a pretty hefty gap on UAVS. And some people, if you're already long going into it, there's nothing wrong with taking profit, but I'd be looking back to prior the close highs, which really this is the aftermarket. So your close highs are like $6 on UAVS, and then the $5 channel, or it just has to hold VWAP. It's got a big no-fly zone for this dollar here from 7 to 6. So it's either holding up here above VWAP, or it's got to wait till it gets down to $6. I thought we'd at least mention this. You saw what happened with Xena yesterday. Certainly UAVS potential runner, but if you haven't already booked some profits and you're in it early, you got to be careful.
I think Zoom again, we kind of mentioned Zoom a little bit earlier here. Back, it was already running towards that anchored VWAP. It was trading at like 83 and some change. We did get above that anchored. That's currently sitting at 84.20s. We got all the way to 85.40s here. So Zoom kind of taking a bit of a breather as we pull into some of these interesting prices. I think anchored will be definitely a place that I'll be watching on this ticker on the day today. But as of right now, still trading within this earnings reaction high and low. So this is also a bit of a reference for me. 81.50. What is that? 81. We'll call it 81 right there at the low. Reaction high sitting in and around. What is that? 91.5. So 91.50 on the dot there for Zoom video. So yeah, we're pretty much in the middle of the range here. Nothing too crazy, but let's see if we move with any sort of distinction one way or another off of the open. I'm going to be, again, I'm pointing out a couple of reference prices, and the indicator I'll be using is that anchored VWAP, again, anchored to that earnings report when that does come out. So that's my look on Zoom. Not necessarily my number one pick on the day, but it is an earnings name off the open. We don't know what'll hit us, so definitely one to keep an eye on today.
All right, let's go over Intel here to wrap things up. 0.8% right now, back above 25 and holding, which was a key level yesterday of both resistance and support. More details on this coming through late in the day yesterday and this morning for Intel up nicely.
So a couple of headlines, guys, for Intel. The first one, the grant of $7.87 billion that comes from the CHIPS Act. It's actually lower than the 8.5 that was expected, that was previously announced. The money is going to be spent on 4 fabs, all in the United States: Arizona, New Mexico, Ohio, and Oregon. That's what the money's supposed to be spent on there, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that. It's going to be given the money in increments, with the first tranche about $1 billion expected later this year. Separately, Qualcomm now waning in interest with respect to acquiring Intel. They're talking about, possibly acquiring parts of Intel rather than the entire thing, worried about regulatory scrutiny. Intel obviously denied when approached by reporters about a potential acquisition, while Qualcomm just denied to comment altogether.
Yeah, it's worth noting all of these semiconductors are positive on the morning. Here's NVIDIA 1.5%. I mean, even AMD 1.25%. So nice look for Intel here. It is relatively strong compared to what it has done the past couple of days. Volume behind this as well this morning.
Yeah, it's not bad, but I mean, on any day where AMD and NVIDIA are outpacing Intel, it's an easy one to look at those two names. That said, we mentioned last week, or maybe even yesterday at some point, I'm pretty sure we did, 25.60 is a key price on Intel. So if it can get and climb up there for a break into the highs, I think that makes a little bit more sense instead of diddling in the middle with it. But NVIDIA bouncing, at least attempting right now to bounce off the 50 SMA on the daily. So there it is. There's your 50 SMA at 135. That's the go zone for me. You almost got there late in the session. Yesterday there was a big imbalance. There was a lot of big imbalances. You almost got there late in the session on a bit of a pullback. So I like longs in front of the 135 on NVIDIA. You can see the afternoon high at 139. It's trying to break out. And then yesterday we were already looking for AMD longs. AMD certainly made its breakout. Whether we get 135 on NVIDIA or not, AMD is now out and about and on the break. So you were able to take out that 142 via gap fill, via gap overnight, and just simply pulling back into prior resistance. Simple. So instead of, if we get a dip buy opportunity, it's not Intel that I would be looking at. It's the 135 on NVIDIA. It's the 141 where we closed on AMD. Just a couple of names a little bit stronger. AMD also breaking trend. If you were to draw a nice trend line from the highs, breaking trend with this hold, like nice little consolidation break on AMD, which we'll be shooting some plays like we did over the weekend. And spoiler alert, mine's going to be AMD. Unless I change my mind today, I feel like it's going to be this break on AMD. And what's happening on this daily chart?
Yeah, I like Intel and what it's been doing again over the past couple of days here, pre-market as well. Again, shout out to Brian Shannon again for introducing me to some of these anchored VWAP strategies or rules there. And again, we can see that anchored to that earnings, we've been attempting to hold this level over the past couple of weeks here. We dip down a little bit lower. We hold some prior anchors as well, but you can see the hold of this 24 and some change area even on prior day in the pre-market yesterday. We got some strength coming off of that 24.50 level all the way up to 25.60s, 25.56 right there. So we pull back all the way back, retracing right down to that anchored VWAP, and that's where we find a bit of a bid once more here on Intel. So again, I guess that's the place to be watching this ticker in and around those mid 24s. Let's see what it does coming off of the open. Now, of course, the chip sector has got if we get tailwind from the chip sector, that's also great. So one to watch out for when I'm trading chips that I always do is I'm watching the Nasdaq, of course. I'm watching Nvidia as well, but SMH is a great one to keep an eye on as well. If you want to get in with a trend and you have that confluence with SMH or the TQs as well, that's always making the trade a little bit nicer than without it as well. So that's all I got on SMH today. Intel very strong. Let's see if that bid shows up again in and around those 24s there, Neil.
But it is now just under 15 seconds till we get the bell. It's going to be a wild retail earnings Tuesday. We've got Joe, Options Joe. Oh, voice already going. Let's ring the bell in 3, 2, and 1. Let's go get him.
Thank you, Joe.
Right off the bat, of course, Coles decides that it wants to bounce off to 15 level. So that's starting to pull back in here on KSS. We do have Rivian pulling right into the target area, so it's down and around that 12. Do want to be a little bit patient. Let an opening candle figure itself out here. Don't want to jump in way too early on Rivian as it's a little bit of a falling knife. But KSS, wow, already above that 15. I kind of felt like we would make a move down at the open that we could revert back into. I want to make sure the stock is open. Yeah, it looks like we're open now on KSS, although maybe not. Yeah, not sure we got the opening print yet on Coles. I'm just going to back off on that one a hot minute. Yeah. I don't think we've got the opening print yet.
Yeah, no, I liked that 15-20. We did kind of take up to 15-20s, 15-30s there. I hit the bid, and then I guess it's a SSR because it didn't really take me right away.
Oh, yeah, it's 18%.
Yeah, so it didn't take me right away, and I was like, oh boy, give me an uptick. But got to stay patient for that one there. I think Neil's definitely right. Might not be fully open just yet, even though it did print a little bit above those 15.25. So you're just going to pack my patience a little bit here for that one to come in. Rivian, though, Rivian is dumping to the downside. So that little pop that we had in the pre-market not really sustaining.
Oh, now it's open.
Aggressive selling. So here we go, 15.10s coming in here. Oh, look at that. Wow, look at that size. You saw that. 4,000 lots on the ask. Oh boy, here we go. 15 is going to be interesting here on KSS. Let's see if this one can give us a directional move here.
Yeah,
anchored VWAP once again. Yeah, that was 4,000 lots, bro.
Yeah, it was a crazy. So I actually, when it dipped, sorry guys, when it dipped back into 15, I got 02s on the bid. The second I saw that heavy lot size, I was able to get a leg out on the next push up there to 15.10. Look, that was a pretty heavy offer that came back in on the downside. And remember, because it's SSR, it couldn't hit the bid. It had to post. If we lose 15, I'm jumping out of this trade because the bounce gave you 10 pennies on a stock down 18%. So I feel like this is going to be a wild one here on KSS. For now, it's holding 15 even, and we got a little bit of a scalp trade. But I'm not going to fight this one too heavily here. Yeah, you're underneath. Let's just jump out of it. I have my stop right there at 89, so we're going to jump out of that one very, very quickly. Don't mind taking another shot at a bounce play, but as Obi just told you guys, that was a very, very heavy bid. Yep. So I'm in, I'm out. Rivian is now in the target area. So I want to go back over to this one. It just ticked down into the 80s. And what I love about it is like this time, not just sitting on the bid trying to catch the falling knife. It actually has to show me a setup in my target area, or we're just not going to take it. By the way, Tesla absolutely ripping. So it does look like it wants to get up into those mid-40s. NVIDIA, we're not going to get a dip buy on NVIDIA. NVIDIA just went right to 139. So now I got to be thinking about VWAP or this 137.5, 138. We might have already missed the boat on NVIDIA, now up 2%.
Yeah, I'm looking at, remember that ticker from yesterday, man? Cassava. Sava all the way down, back at that $4 level. Let's see if, again, Sava was churning a decent amount of volume in and around that $4 level. I'm going to continue watching this one. Let's see if it can sustain $4. But KSS, oh boy, I definitely missed that fill. 1520s, I think I punched, what did I punch? I punched in the 1520s, did not get that fill. And then when we broke, we started churning around that $15, I liked the short, and again, with that order sitting on the ask, and Buddy did get filled at that what was that 1501s right here. So yeah, he definitely got 1513s I think it was. I have 600,000 shares that came in on the Nasdaq book right there at 1513. So wow, 1450s here, Neil. Oh boy, got to be a little bit bigger with this one next time around. But it is a little difficult to get into a ticker that is SSR if you're trying to look for the short. But the fact of the matter is, if it's SSR and the bids are getting hit, who is doing the selling, Neil? That's always a question that I'm asking, because the SSR rule is such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful mechanic that does exist in the market, and it pretty much tells you in times like this who is kind of being aggressive into on the book. So it's longs and only longs that can actually hit the bid if you're already holding inventory on an SSR ticker. So that's definitely something I want to watch for. We're pushing into some of these pre-market lows as of right now. Current day low sitting at 1454. We're trading back up in the 1470s as of right now. So I do want to lighten up a little bit here. And again, if we get back through 15, that's perfectly fine as well. I'm more than willing to stop out and reassess for a continuation trade. Again, anchored VWAP was the place to be, as right off of the open. Look at this beautiful action right here.
1450 just held.
It goes into 1540s right there. That's anchored. That's also current day's VWAP. That's also some of these pre-market highs right there. Nice little continuation, or a nice little push to the downside. I'm looking for that continuation below this day low, but that 14.5's holding as of right now. Now, don't forget, this is an SSR name, so if the bid does step in, oh boy, got to watch out for that one. OKLO and SMR, some of these new.
By the way, Zena's halted.
Are running. Zena's halted. Oh boy.
Yeah, Zena's got a halt to the downside. It should be open up in just a couple of minutes here. 1 minute it should be open up here on Zena. It's halted down. The indicated open is $9.70. So it's looking very heavy on Zena. We said be a little careful with these ones. I did just miss the 1450 bounce on Coles. So we had 15. Actually, our fill was at 1530. To be able to get profit when it lost 15, I was long at 01s. We got out right underneath it. But now it's bouncing off the 1450 level. So looking for that SSR bounce play. It did come in. I just didn't get the fill. So a bit of a miss for myself there. You are now pulling back on NVIDIA. So this might be our opportunity on NVIDIA. No, I hit enter too early. This might be our chance to get the dip on NVIDIA. Prior high has already come back in. Now we're looking for the 13.5 underneath VWAP to see if we can catch the dip buy on this particular name. So trying to have that one calm down. Zoom was another we're looking at. Still not loading. Yeah, that chart hates me. So we'll have to get away from that one. Zoom is another one we're looking at, but hasn't pulled back into 80. It is right now Coles off of that $14.5 level. I'm just looking for one shot that I can close and get a push back into VWAP on KSS here. It's now down 20%. Of course, shorts are restricted. If it bounces off 1450 a second time, I want to get a quick reversal, makes a fresh low, I jump out of the trade. Do not want to be fighting this one past any fresh lows. That's never how the SSR bounce play is going to work. So NVIDIA is pulling back. I'll have to wait for this chart to load back up, but Zoom getting very, very close. Coles about to retest that 1450, Obes.
Yes, sir. I'm kind of no regrets, but maybe some regrets here. Just like I should have been punching away. You saw the 4,000 lot on that 15 and change. When I see that, and then we start reserving on top of the 15, looking weak, and that size starts getting decremented underneath the 15. Oh boy, I want to get aggressive as well. What's that?
Decremented.
Yeah, like when the bid decrements, like you see it kind of going down little by little. It's getting eaten up, and you're like, okay, well, if you watch if you watch a lot of tape, you can see that when things move. Thank you, Sharif. So when things move, it has to take pieces of the bid out. You have to take out whoever is in front of you. And if there is a large order sitting there, sometimes all of it doesn't get taken out right away. So if you're watching, you can see it slowly getting taken out. Nobody's really hitting the ask, and everybody's pushing into the bid. And again, who's pushing into the bid on an SSR ticker? Probably people who are holding inventory.
Yes.
So that's I like that confluence. I want to see that happen, and if I see that happen, why, Neil?
UAVS also.
Am I not pushing into this ticker with all my buying power? Maybe not all my buying power. That's a joke. But a decent chunk. Why am I not pushing into it with at least 20 to 30% of my daily risk? That is a better way to look at it, in my opinion. And I definitely kind of botched that up a little bit. But whatever, where's the next trade is what I'm looking for. Sure, we're holding 14 halves, and I guess the trade was just that 15 pennies, but a decent probability, 50 pennies, a decent probability 50 pennies right off of the open there on KSS. Now, people talking about Rocket Labs. Rocket Labs is blasting to the upside as of right now. So straight 15-minute candle to the upside off of the open. And we are trading higher here, 25.98 with a 26.09 high. Prior day's consolidation here from the pre-market looking a little distinct coming into play as of right now. Do we get a reversion? I don't know. Where is the next trade, guys? Let me know.
Is it a
in the chat.
rocket ship in Rocket Labs?
Yeah, it is definitely a rocket ship here. Let's take a quick look at some of those retail names. I'm looking at all of these earnings names on the side as of right now, so let's see how those guys are doing. We can quickly take a look at ANF.
Quickly, Kohl's ended up holding that 14.5. Obviously, you guys could see that as Obi was on the stock. Apologies for the voice, guys. The voice is going away today. But KSS holds at 14.5. There's the confirmation of the higher low. I got in 65 with a stop at a fresh low underneath 14.50. For a bounce play back into VWAP as we're starting to come in hot and heavy on this name. Also, NVIDIA tried to hold the prior high. It did not. So there it is dipping underneath VWAP. Went long over the prior high. And again, first target here, stop under there. Pretty simple. Now we just have to wait. It's either going to be testing the 137 at the low or we're waiting for 135. So KSS will still hold on to. Just wanted to make sure. And again, when you have a structured trade, it's pretty simple. It hits your out, you got to be able to get out. And then a similar story here for Kohl's. Like, I don't mind holding some past 15, but remember, this is where VWAP is sitting. So on a VWAP bounce play on an SSR bounce, I want to make sure we're profiting into VWAP and then maybe holding that last quarter or third out and about to see if we get a push back into 15.50. So decent little bounce here on Kohl's. Rivian, we said be very patient. It went right into that target area, did not come out of it green, so I haven't touched it. It did not hold on to the prior highs. There was no bounce to be said, so we don't just stand out in front of it. Now all of a sudden you're retesting afternoon support. This is the only other support level left until you get to like $11 even. So either it shows some green in here or there's no play for us, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You've got to be able to back off something like this and not just sit there catching a falling knife. Bazelicious. Palantir is open. Palantir is now on the NASDAQ. So Palantir is no longer on the NYSE. So if you pull it up on the NYSE, you're only going to get historical data. Palantir is open. It is flat. It's at VWAP as we speak. So just be very... Again, I made the same mistake. So it's not just you. Trust me. I was turning Obi. I'm like, can you call up Palantir today? Because I forgot that it was going to be on the NASDAQ. But yeah, just type in NQ and you should be fine. So KSS, getting the bounce play, you can win short, you can win long. That's what I love about the market.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at, so we'll go over the retail names just in a second here. But AMD, oh my God. What is happening over here? We opened up at 143. We're trading 139 below below prior day's consolidation, end of day consolidation, but prior day low sitting at 139 and 139.04s. We're trading at 139.56s at the day low. Look at this aggressive selling that came in right off the bat on AMD. Now, this is not the only chip that is selling off. You can take a look at Micron. You can take a look at SMCI. NVIDIA, not so much. but these tickers are selling off quite aggressively. 100 mark incoming here on Micron as well. And again, got to make sure watching that SMH. You can see that SMH definitely got that tailwind from that SMH, kind of pointing out that definitely a few tickers in this ETF that are selling off right now. But if you take a look at NVIDIA, not really doing too much of an extension to the downside. Sure, we are selling off, but it only sold off from 139 to 137. So that's being held above some of these pre-market levels as of right now. But we are taking a little bit lower as I continue to speak. Futures still sideways and haven't really gone anywhere. All right, so let's take a quick look at those retail names and see what's going on with those. So I've pieced out a majority of this KSS as we bid right back up. I want to get more. What's up?
Dix just went red on the session.
Looking a little limp.
Yes. Okay. Well, I wasn't gonna go there, but I can't disagree with that whatsoever. It's gonna be one of those kind of days. Look, it's now down 0.1% and actually fluctuating red to green story or green to red story here on Dix. That's continuing to flush. We mentioned that there were a few retail names to look over. Kohl's is the only one that I'm in because everything else is. I mean, you're bleeding down. You got to be patient. We got the 14.5. It's now holding underneath 15 bucks. So clearly the right levels to work off of 14.5 and 15, but you're getting a higher low. It's trying to go green. I have one more offer, and then I'm holding 20% for VWAP. That offer is sitting at 93. If I get filled at 93, right now, we're just holding on to a quarter. We'll have 20% if we get a push through VWAP, and then we'll look to see if they can go any higher than that. NVIDIA still looking very heavy. The Nasdaq's up a 0.5%, but NVIDIA now, did you see the bid just come in?
No, look at the bid on Softy, Apple, Alphabet, Amazon. Like everything is aggressively.
Everything but the chips.
Yeah, chips with the dip is definitely the title of today because all these chips are dipping hard. And you can see, again, let's go through some of these Mag 7s. Microsoft, straight to the upside as of right now, 422. 423 is trading, making some fresh highs again. Apple right here, look at these fresh highs. 235 is trading 234 is half, 234 halves right now. And Google, look at this. That's some alpha level price action here on Google. To the upside, 169. This thing has been quite an interesting mover over the past couple of days here. Again, breaking that trend that I was looking to continue for the fade into the close and holding sideways here on top of this. What is this? I guess I have a little bit of a level here at 167. Doesn't really matter, but holding some of these pre-market levels as support for a push through that pre-market high again. And Amazon, wow, look at this one. That's a strong swing to the upside right there. And oh boy, some of these prior levels coming in. Where's that line coming in from? I have no idea. I got to take a look at some of my charting here on Amazon. But oh boy, some of that prior day's double top, right? Prior day's double top at that 201. We were talking about that, Neil, and we are blasting 205s, 205.88s is the current high right now. There goes the Nasdaq past that 2100
Pump
as
it.
of right now. Let's take a quick look at what. Oh boy, Amazon reversion. Hello, did someone call? Let me take a look at this tape right now. Oh boy, 50 never got dealt with there on KSS. Let's go straight to Amazon right here and see what we have in store. High a day, 205.88s. We're trading 207s, 205s right now. So sorry, 204.70s. No, we're trading 204.90s. All right, so you know what? I'm going to take a little piece of this one as of right now and see if that comes in. And I want to get a lot more aggressive if this move continues further to the downside and we lose a little bit of the bid and we are pulling back off of that 21,000 as well on the NASDAQ. Let's see if some of these strong tickers take a little bit of a pullback. 15-minute candle, how much time left? We have 13 minutes, so that thing just started printing. Let's see. We are trading 204.90s. I'm in 204.88s, but I want more. Maybe closer to 205s. Let's see. Let's wait and observe. I'm going to stay a little patient on this one right here. Do I have my stop in? Let me do that. Let me work on that. What's going on with
Very quickly, we waited for the first actual green candle on Rivian. You see it bleed to the downside. No need to stand in front of a falling knife. Let it make a little reversion here. So it makes the bid, holds 11.20. Then we get a curl back the upside. I grabbed some just above 30s. Got a fill in I got 44, and then looking at this 50 level to get a couple of fills. Then we'll play into 11.60. Remember, that 11.80 was the key price level. So that now sits as VWAP. This means target into 11.80. But you know what? That UAVS, 56% short float, halted to the upside, now halting to the downside, going into a down halt as we speak is UAVS. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. The market's blasting, Tesla's going, and this UAVS, I mean, these small caps are going absolutely nuts. So if you like it, if you like the show, like the show. Very simple to do. You just hit a button, and then you can throw some chats in there, us as well. If you want to be able to engage with us, it's a subs-only chat, so make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe. Join this fantastic trading community. UAVS now fully in a halt. Give it 5 minutes. It's a volatility halt to the downside. Wild one. Second halt of the day on UVS already as it continues to go. So KSS holding in the money. We wait patiently for the bounce on Rivian. It's trying to go. And Tesla, sorry, we forgot all about Tesla. I forgot all about Tesla. Almost. It almost fills this move all the way back into 347. So looking at this, just wanted to get back into this prior support from yesterday. I'm only looking mean inversion up here. It never gave you the long offer. I thought maybe it would give us those longs in the mid-30s. That clearly was not the case here with Tesla. So we'll have to look for a little something else. So Rivian holding, UAVS holding the middle of the range now. As a matter of fact, quick little update on KSS. Whenever we make the push back into VWAP like this, which I think it already has, the stop goes from the low of the day into the prior bar low. That'll be just underneath where we got into it. So because it's already made the push adjacent to VWAP, if this gets back underneath 1462, I'm out. So it can't turn into a losing trade on Coles.
Yeah, nice trade there on Coles. Again, still kind of churning around there. That UAVS, man, that thing's flying around like crazy with those halts up and down. So definitely want to keep an eye out for there. What else am I looking for? I'm looking at these chips, man. When are these chips going to turn? This market is hella strong. Look at that. We're coming right back into 205 halves there on Amazon. Do I get stopped out? Maybe. I'm more than willing to try once again if this strength, again, we're going to look for that bid to kind of dissipate. I thought that was it right there. But again, if it's not going to, that's perfectly fine as well. Like I said, I want to risk a lot more, and I wanted to show me that I can risk a lot more before I actually put that risk on. But as of right now, I'm going to give it a little bit of a wider stop and see if or see how it comes in. Again, more than willing to give it multiple tries before it kind of starts to work here. But chips still haven't really caught a bid. Oh boy, there goes Amazon. Maybe we're going to be seeing those 206s. This market again trading much higher as of right now. What's going on?
Don't look now, but remember Cassava Sciences? Yes. Day 2 SSR play immediately flushes through $4. Look at the volume candle wick underneath 4. I was just looking at all my SSR stocks as the market's trying to blast here. Then holds the $4 level once. It just held it again. So if this bar closes without losing $4, I'm looking at a long bounce on Sava. Again, just trying to be patient on any of these types of bounce plays. Once we close again, this is a retest here at 4. As long as this bar closes above 4, I'll look for another shot there. So far, the dip buys have worked, but you have been trend down on some of these names. Tesla still clawing its way higher, still not at that 347 for fade trade. Do have to be a little bit patient with it. You're starting to see some strength come into NVIDIA now there if you're watching it, Obi. And for everybody, Xena, the Warrior stock, is open
once again
and trying to hold. It's now 2 halts to the downside, trying to hold on to $9. And we said there could be some gap filling if it were to lose that bid. It's not out of the water yet, but it is in the midst of this little gap here on Xena. Be careful. 2 halts to the downside already. I think you want to let these suckers calm down. Currently, I'm just waiting very patiently for that one to calm itself down while we look at KSS holding. Rivian just got another fill. You still haven't closed this bar above $4, so it still guess we have another minute to go here on Sava. But I was able to catch another fill on Rivian on the way back up. It just tagged 1150. So again, when you're waiting to buy the dip, you don't have to just sit there buying all the way through. Let it make a bottom. Let it give you some kind of a long entry candle or whatever it is that you're looking for. Get that higher low, and then go long in the stock. You don't always have to just be long layering into those bad boys because you happen to like it. If it shows weakness, be willing to be patient. A weak stock is generally going to give you the prices to get in.
Yeah, I think something interesting. Coal's coming back into that 14 half level here. So let's see what that does. Let me pull that one up here on the tape so you guys can follow along. Again, the ticker trades on the NYSE. So right here, so let me throw on that size filter as well so we can capture any sort of size. There's that bid right here. So prior lows were sitting at 1454s. Buddy's sitting here at 1455s with the 217 lots. So let's see if we can take him out right there. Once again, someone's hitting the bid or below the bid on an SSR name. It might be telling as to what kind of participant that might be. Again, Cole's trading much lower. It's already been trending down on a bigger picture, and we get a little bit of a gap down or a flush off of earnings as well. So that's kind of like the situational look. That's kind of the setup. But the trade itself, I think, was that continuation to the downside there. The trend hold, trend following trade here. So here we go. There's that 55. Buddy, see, this is what I mean.
GameStop
bid is decrementing. We were there at 217, and this, my books are a little bit doubled here. So this is the same this is the same book, the EdgeX book, EXP or EDGX. Same thing here. So we were above 200. So there we go. We got a bit of a refresher. So more people stepping into the book there, 92. So you can see 132. Buddy's refreshing.
GameStop broke $30. I hate to interrupt you, Obi, but I just realized Adair is not here. I was like, oh, what's going on in GameStop? I don't have a new news story on it. I think it could just be a technical break on GME. Quickly want to run you through it. Here's your daily chart on GameStop. There is your double top at 30. There is your technical breakout through 30. Simple procedure. On the way back in, can you hold those prior highs? So obviously 30 on the daily chart, 29.80 going into yesterday's close. That gives you a target dip buy zone. I'm just going to quickly check X. Maybe Roaring Kitty or something tweeted something. I didn't see anything hit the wire. Sometimes when he tweets, it'll hit that. But anyways, GameStop has been making some power moves. That said, you're now getting a pullback. Again, NVIDIA just lost a bid one more time. And Tesla does not like me. Why? Because I thought being patient, waiting for the fade on Tesla a little bit higher was the right thing to do. Well, we're a little too patient with this. It turns right at 345, right underneath prior lows, and now you're making some lower highs here in Tesla. So I was skeptical, wanted to fade this one into the mid-40s, just might have missed our entry point. So let's see what happens with VWAP here. Maybe it can hold underneath VWAP. We're going to hold on to Rivian. That's now back at 1150, so we did take it out already at 1150. I want that push into VWAP, which is 1180. That's the out. We want this pushing back into 1180 on Rivian, but Tesla now under VWAP and continuing to fall. So I literally saw nothing from Roaring Kitty's account. So I guess it's just a technical breakout on GameStop. Why not? Why not? Sometimes you get these small cappers running on a holiday shortened week. We've already seen it.
Yeah, again, a lot of small caps running this week. Oh boy, Neil. So I've been sitting beside you for the past couple of days, Friday as well.
It's true.
You know I've been trying to short GM.
Yeah,
because it's aggressively strong. I'm like, why are you running? Where are you running?
He has.
Why are you running? Sure, my execution was not the best. I was trying to short. I liked those prices to sell at, though.
I'm guessing
Take a look at what GM has done today. These are the past 2 days. You can always see a little bit of charting happening past couple of days. This was on Friday. This was on Monday. We are trading below Friday's low, Neil.
Dump it.
And I was like, I like these prices to sell. I like these prices to sell as well. But whatever. I was on the wrong side of the move. It doesn't matter. The right side of the V comes in after hours, a trickle down in the pre-market, and an aggressive selling continuation back down off of the open there, trading at 55s. Oh boy. All right. Where is the next trade? That's what I'm asking here on
oh my God,
GM.
Tesla's
GM,
dumping.
nice little continuation. Yeah, Tesla, I see that it's dumping.
No.
DJT as well, kind of coming into the downside. And yeah, GM. Oh my God, indeed. AMD still to the downside. Intel, we were talking about that one in the pre-market right here. Intel to the downside as well. Oh boy, that anchored, not really showing up as support. Let's see if these pre-market levels show up as support, as again, that's where the bid kind of came in earlier on in the day today. 5 a.m. low is at 24.40. We're trading at 24.48s, 49s right now on Intel. So it should be interesting. But then again, you got to remember, like I said in the pre-market, SMH, and the rest of the tech sector here, or the chips, it definitely coming in with a little bit of a dip. Micron aggressively to the downside as well. And there's another name where I'm seeing some aggressive action as well. ARM, 140.50s or 140s off of the open, traded all the way down to 136.70s for a day low, and now finally catching a little bit of a bounce as well. AMD, no real sign of a bounce. I was like, oh boy, this is going to set up as a bit of a reversion for me, but not with this market, not with the chips going like this, and the market, the NASDAQ and the ES not really doing too much, coming in off of the open, pretty much trading sideways as of right now. So, oh boy, some missed opportunities.
Oh boy.
But yeah, definitely not the last opportunity, as again, I'm sure there's going to be more and more things that potentially set up as the day goes on. Just got to be looking in the right places. Yeah, no, Tesla kind of came to the downside, but trading back above that.
Coming back to VWAP.
Yeah, that it's holding that VWAP, pretty much sideways action. Amazon still holding near its highs quite well. Softy, some fresh highs. Apple with a pullback, 234.80s high a day, 235.40s as of right now. So is the turn on the market going to come in? Neil,
well, it's already happening.
That 21.
It's already happening. Like, I would say, is it going to come in? Well, this is what it looks like. Okay, I'll get to Tesla at VWAP in a quick little second, but just to finish your point there, there's your prior high on the NASDAQ. There's your 21. There's your wick top. Now you're underneath. As long as we hold underneath 20,980, that's a pretty bearish reversal. Then obviously a lot of Mag 7 names were pumping early. Tesla came right back into what was pre-market highs. Obviously 345 would have been the better short. I get it. I missed it. So what? I just came back underneath VWAP. I tried to get this break through 341 on the way down. I didn't get anything. I just left the offer out there. It got 88s on the way back through. Yes, I like 88s and 22s and 12s when we get even dollar breaks. If we lose 340, I want to get some bids out in front of 339 for the scalp trade into the low of the day, and then respect it. If we get any lower, obviously the 335 we think is, okay, I shouldn't say we, the 335 to 330 I think is a support area on Tesla, so I'd rather be getting some longs if it does get down into that price. But if we get back above VWAP, I want to get out. That's why we're going to be scalping some out. Rivian did give us another push into 1150, but since then has been going sideways. So sideways action, still higher lows on Rivian. Target out in front of VWAP, that's what we're looking to grab. But when Tesla's doing this, and we just got to fill down, wow, look at these wicks. I just got filled 339.80 on Tesla, or probably 77. Yeah, of course, I keep doubling up those digits. And it goes right back into VWAP. So heavy, heavy volatility here in Tesla around that 341 in VWAP. That's a good fill because we're already coming back up and looking to press VWAP. At least now if it presses VWAP, I can't turn it into a losing trade. But that was a big bounce there on Tesla. Crazy moves in your favorite, Obi.
Yes, sir.
And still the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Amazon.
Amazon.
High of day as the market pulls back on Amazon. 2% to the upside. Shout out to everyone in the chat that's been going on about this bad boy. It does look incredibly strong. We've got to focus on what we're trading. And my eyeballs are right now on this price action on Tesla. Because if it resolves above VWAP, I think it's going to make a very strong push. So I got to have, there we go. Very, like I said, very tight stop. That's a miracle fill down there to have gotten that. But again, look where support was. So support was at 339.5 or so. I just threw the bid in, hope to get picked up. I got picked up. So when we get the stop out, we stay green on the stock as we're scalping out. But wow, pretty fortunate fill out there on Tesla. While that was happening, I mean, thank you, Tesla, to get that money fill. But then we're able to get Rivian next leg up 1160. And we've talked about this over and over again. It's all well and good to like a dip buy on a stock, but if you don't have a reason to get in, and since the open, there's your trend connecting, there's your trend reversal, there's your first green candle, wait for it. Don't just dip buy every single price because you like the dip. Wait for an actual setup and a sign that you're bottoming out, and then you can pounce. That way, you're at least going to be following some semblance of a plan. So Rivian, we're going to get back up to VWAP, hopefully one more fill, and I want to go back over to GameStop for everybody. Pulling back into 30, there's your dip into 30. I have it on another level too. It's not like I knew it got to 30, like I'm not psychic or anything. I got the black chart up here, so I've been watching it the whole time. But it is pulling back. trying to bounce and hold over 30. I want confirmation we're holding this 30 level, and then I want to work into a long. I'm just willing to participate in anything that's going. Now that the futures are reversed, if you're bullish, small caps might be the way to go. Well, sorry, a small cap runner or a Mag 7 name, because the chips aren't looking very good at this particular moment. Tesla, which we liked for a fade, I have to wait for 45 or maybe even 47 to come in because that's looking strong. GameStop certainly looking like it's a nice little continuation long setup, especially with 30 now gone.
Yeah, this is actually wild. Like the market's pulling back aggressively there, or it did, off of that 2100, and Amazon's still trading near its highs. Oh boy, she's definitely strong on the day today. So again, I tried once again as we we did a bit of a grab of those highs there, but we're trading right there once again. So maybe we're poised for a push past that, a distinct push past that 206. We're also, this is kind of technically a breakout as well through those 205s and some change. And we did pull back and hold 204.30s, I think, here as well. But yeah, no, I'm going to continue kind of watching this. Yeah, 205.30s is some of those prior highs on Amazon. We're trading back up into those 206s. So you know what? I'm going to try a couple times. If it's not gonna, I guess, do the move, it's not going to do the move. It's going to continue to the upside, very, very strong, and that's perfectly fine. Like I said, I'm looking for the next trade. Chips again, chips catching a little bit of a curl here, and specifically, I am watching AMD. Oh boy, KSS, man, that thing, dude. Literally, I was watching this. On the way down, there was stacks of offers just sitting there. They would get filled and then it'd tick lower. They get filled and then tick lower. So not only are people who are long selling, there are also short sellers sitting, getting in on the ask, or participants that cannot hit the bid, getting on the ask and waiting for that uptick to come in and fill them as well. And a lot of mid prints going on this ticker. So there you go, a bit of a stack on the bid. Let's see if that bid gets taken out at 1425s. 15 was the place to be, man. I was like, 15 was definitely a decision point, and it never got back up there. We did tick back up into the 90s. I got slightly spooked and took off a little bit more. And again, like I said, not really holding on to anything anymore. Just a little bit of a runner, but it's good. I'm glad. Okay, oh boy. So we stopped out of that Amazon
That's still
on that
going?
aggressive. Yeah, it's making some fresh highs there. Yeah, I mean, if the chips are going to start to turn and give this market a little bit of a bid, like AMD here, I think if Amazon's like, all right, well, I'm not pulling back on the weakness. I'm only going to run up on the strength. We get a little bit of strength in the market, and it pushes up to some fresh highs. So I'm going to continue watching that one. Apple, though, pulling back. Prior bar 15-minute break happening right now on Apple. Maybe that's what I have to wait for here on Amazon if we're going to continue to be this strong. Trading above 206s now. Where is the next level? Oh boy, we are breaking out of that 205.40s as of right now. And this selling came in, let's see, on Friday, November the 14th. That selling came in all the way from 210s, and we sold off all the way down to 200, 199 and some change there on that day. So we're coming back up into some of those levels. Are we going to get all the way to 210? Oh boy, Neil, if we get to 210 on Amazon today, that would be absolutely wild.
210?
Yeah. I think that's the next, I feel like that's the next level here. Because, like, look, when I look at the Amazon chart, again, I got to keep an eye on this one at the same time just in case it breaks down. But, oh, boy.
I'll just be happy if Jimmy gets to 30.75.
If Jimmy gets to 30, oh, you're in there right now. Let's go.
Jimmy, don't you lose my number. Is that the right song? You're not anything. Oh, anyway.
I have no idea.
It's like Phil Collins, I think. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know Phil Collins too well. Jimmy, don't you lose my number, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, Jimmy finally holds that 30 level GME. A wise person once told me that I'm supposed to shorten this to Jimmy. It's Amy and Jimmy, AMC.
Yeah.
Not that we're in the meme craze. But the $30 level does hold. There's your bounce. There's your confirmation. There's the break back above prior low. I was able to get 36s. Again, patient entries, everybody. Have a plan. Something that you want to see happen, then react to when it does. I said I'll be happy if it gets to 30.75. I'm scalping 2/3 of it out. Now we're going to hold for a break of the highs. Why? Because Jimmy's squeezing. And if Jimmy wants to... Okay, I got to stop saying that. Because now I'm thinking of Seinfeld. And that guy who speaks in the third person. He just calls himself Jimmy the whole time. So anyways, if you go to the daily chart, Once we get to 31, you've got this zone from 31 to 33 where there was a huge checkup, and I'm blaming Rory and Katie for when it failed down there. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So let's see it push into 31 here, but I'm not looking to gift horse in the mouth. This is what has worked. Specific patient entries, then pounce, and then let it play in your favor. Scalp to the high, hold to next level, which I think is going to be $31 on GME. Rivian still holding trend. Again, same story. Patient, wait for the entry. Now we're going to get VWAP, it looks like. At this point, you've now got a nice trend going on Rivian. If it reverts that trend, I don't wait for the low of the day. I get out if it reverts that trend. But we've got a trade that can't turn into a loser at this point. 4X AU saying, you're lucky I'm not there because I'd probably be running around screaming, trying to give 100 hugs, no FOMO on GameStop. Well, we'll take it. The real trade, let's be real. I mean, if you're, let's be real for a second. Buying a dip off of 30 is good and it's working. But for a stock like this, look at this wick high at 936 and then look at the afternoon high. Okay? So if you're really early to this, that's your breakout trade. There's nothing wrong with joining a good trend. Make some winning trades joining trends on strong stocks. But the alpha move is to actually have this one on a 29.80 break and then holding through a 30. I didn't. I'm just a joiner. I see everyone putting in GME in the chat. We find a setup in Jimmy. We go long on the secondary push. But that first push was spectacular. Then you're in the money and you're holding like a champ. We didn't actually press in the 31 here, so I do want to make sure that I move my stop a little bit tighter. I don't want this. If it loses bid here, I think you get to VWAP. So I want to make sure we can't turn into a loser. If we break 31 even, I'm going to trail it even higher. We only got a couple of longs, and really they don't tend to care what the market is doing because the market is pulling back again, Obi.
Yeah, the market's pulling back in, and this KSS looking like it might be getting to that $14 mark as of right now. But look at this, bids. Let's see if they decrement. Are they decrementing? Yes, they did. You saw that wipe below the bid coming in on those 14.25s. Let's see if they got more to buy here. Look at those. Look at that size sitting, getting up on the ass. Now they finally get filled as well. So I guess this 14 area is going to be interesting. 206 is incoming here on Amazon. Let's see if this market actually takes a strong pullback. There goes the ES as well. I like that. ES is coming into the downside. AMD, no real bounce, man. Oh boy, we're still selling off on Micron, on Intel, on NVIDIA, on SMCI, on SMH. On the TQs a little bit as well, and here's another leg down, or another little flush down here on KSS. Oh boy.
Bitcoin's bouncing, by the way.
Bitcoin's bouncing? Where are we at on Bitcoin?
93 on Bitcoin. So this is a little, for the market to be pulling back like this,
Alphabet.
And Bitcoin is hitting 93. I just looked over, Mara almost went green. Oh, come on, voice, stay. Mara just went green for a split second. If we're able to hold on Bitcoin with the market weak, going to have to start looking at something like this for a trend up. But let's let it settle down a little bit. With the market pulling back, I don't want to jump into anything willy-nilly. Let's stick to the plan of action, at least for now. But you just said something which caught my attention. Coles, you can make money long or short. I made money only bounce plays. It's trending down, 14 even. Comes in next. I'm going to look for the SSR bounce again at 14. Same thing, 14, we did at 15. We took it at 14.50. I'll take it if it sets up at 14 even, just sticking with the plan here on Coles.
Yeah, so that aggressive selling on Amazon just got bought right back up. Absolutely wild, man. This ticker is hella strong on the day. I guess it's poised to hold. Well, holding the moving average right here. I have an 8 on the 3 minute. We came down right into that level there. Some prior highs as well. 205 and 80s, 90s. I think the low of that candle was 205.72 right here. This little wick, and we got an aggressive bid back to the upside. So, oh boy. I thought I kind of came in when I saw some aggressive selling, and I did. We came all the way back down into the low of the trend where that support has been coming in, and that support comes right back in very, very aggressively with, again, 4 seconds left to finish printing this 3-minute candle. Oh boy. Seems like we might be poised for a little bit higher, Neil, as this market, again, chops around sideways, not really doing anything too crazy. I want to see this get back below that 205.75, 70 area to be like, all right, maybe the trend has finally broken. I want to get a lot more aggressive with Amazon. But again, the jungle is tough, man. Navigating the jungle is definitely a tough one, and Amazon being the most lush of them all.
Well, you know what they say,
Definitely.
Obi?
What do they say, Neil?
They say welcome to the jungle.
They do say
Because we've got fun and games, which we have here every single day in the markets, especially when Jimmy breaks through 31, although temporarily, because as I said, if we took 31, I'm going to trail it up here, and it got the 31 break, it got the 31.08. I trailed some out, I'm still in it. Want to make sure we hold on to a piece for the dream, but 31 was the next test. The good thing is, like, if it blasts 31 and just holds immediately higher, I would have probably profited at the 31 quarter or 50 level, somewhere in there regardless, but you are getting a dip back in. So just wait patiently for the trade. We want to now hold to see if it can hold above 31 even. Rivian continues to cruise. Although Tisha Perkins, shout out to you in the chat. Chasing Latitudes just mentioned VSS. Tisha Perkins with the super chat, VC. So can we go over it? Absolutely, yes, we can. Right now I'm waiting for Coles at 14. We're holding on to GME. Rivian gave us our target, so I wanted to mention that. We got the VWAP retrace on Rivian. That was a perfect plan of action. Wait for the dip. That's actually louder than I was anticipating. I have one green candle, then we take the long on Rivian. You can like the dip buy, but you don't have to be in it the whole way. One bounce all the way to VWAP. That's my move. We're out of it, and now we can move on to VC, which it's VSEE Health. I'm just gonna make an assumption that I can call it VC. I'm not gonna confuse anybody. Halted with a current tap of flat. So 331 or 33 is the current tap for anyone that's looking at it. I haven't looked at this because obviously we're looking at GME and Coles and a whole lot of other stuff, and Xena was going. But look at this on the daily. There's your $3 breakout. Can it hold on to this prior high on the daily? $3. That's key, because if it can do that, you've got pre-market highs at about 290, or let's call it, I mean, since 6 o'clock. I haven't looked at anything before 6 o'clock. But if you can hold on to 390, then you've got like a nice little base. I don't like chasing them. Usually you'd want to be in off of VWAP, so it has to set something up above $3 after it calms down. So after one halt, let's see if it can hold a bit of a higher low in here off of this high and the $3 level. That would be the key. So GameStop going, we're out of Rivian, and there was something else that I'm easily forgetting about here. Tesla.
Google? Oh.
No, it was Tesla. Tesla actually holding above VWAP now. So we took our shot at Tesla. It was a solid short underneath VWAP. It did give us like 340.88. Our best fill was about $1 in the money, and then our tight stop in here off of VWAP, but it's now trending up unless we lose VWAP again. So I'm watching this one for another fail underneath VWAP, with the market, again, putting in red candles on the NASDAQ. It just feels like we're reverting here. Unless it's a small capper or a runner, I'm still looking for some short entries here, specifically staring at you, Tesla, underneath VWAP. DJK, I don't know if GME is headed to $40. I don't know about all that. 32, 33 would be nice. But $40 seems a little bit extreme. And then why leave Rivian glitch chips? Well, I'll give you the entire reason as to why I leave Rivian. Because we're looking dip buy. The first zone was 1210 to this prior high, 1180. When you dump like this, the trade becomes next support into resistance, confluenced by VWAP. And then what's the next trade? That's just the way I'm looking at it. It is a monster trend down, which was not what I was expecting. But we react to that by waiting for a green candle, and it holds off support for confluence. But I'm not ignoring 1180 was a key level for me, and it goes with VWAP as well. If I was not trading this stock long, what would I be thinking when it gets to VWAP in here? Probably short. So that means exit trade at target. Now, obviously, it's going to look foolish not to have shorted now, but you get the point. That's the trade to me from here to here. And again, every trade is a complete setup. Sometimes it's like hold because it can go further, but when it's trend down like this, I'm not making the assumption every single trade is going to be a home run there.
Yeah, we're finally getting a little bit of a pullback. I was getting a little too aggressive there on the front side of the move here on Amazon, but we're finally coming in on the market. Well, not really finally coming in, doing a little bit more of the same, but we're coming in once more, a little bit to the downside here. Let's see if the ES and NQ can continue, cover a little bit more of that KSS as well as we start to hold a little bit higher. Couldn't really get all the way down to 1420s holding as of right now on as a day low on KSS. Yeah, no, the chips didn't really do a significant bounce. I was looking for a little bit of a bounce. Intel, no real bounce. Sure, the prior 15-minute candle gives you a little bit of a bottom wick, but we're trading well below that as of right now. Micron about to break its day low as well, so got eyes on that. Oh boy, Amazon, you gonna give it to me now? Let's see, where is that 8 moving average sitting at? It's at 206.16, so we've been holding above that and only that since the open there, or since that aggressive push off of the open. Again, VWAP hold as well. Amazon's quite strong on the day. NASDAQ.
What a beat. Oh my
hither.
goodness.
20,900. You can do it. Let's go. So
What else you can do, Obi,
yes.
is you can put your trading skills to the test. Because if you're ready to do that, the Trade the Pool and Trader TV stock trading competition is almost here. From December 2nd to the 6th, you'll be trading with $200,000 in buying power to make bold moves and aim for top prizes. With rewards waiting for the top 20, you don't have to come in first to win big. This intense 5-day challenge is your opportunity to sharpen your skills, test your strategies, and go head-to-head with other traders who are just as eager to win. It's your time to prove yourself and claim your place among the best. The clock is ticking. Are you ready to step up and rule the pool? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code to join now and secure your spot. And let us know, what are you interested in trading for something like that? Because obviously, you go for the outsized gains. So you're really looking like at NVIDIA? Or are you looking at things like Kohl's, or like the Jimmies, or like the NNEs of the world? That's the other thing you got to consider. It's not just putting your skills to the test. It's making sure you find the right opportunities in there. So Tesla lost VWAP again, and it did so very, very rapidly. But not as much of a heavy candle. It's actually putting in a higher low off that VWAP test. So I'm not just going to sit here on the other side on the offer like we did last time. Let's look for some confirmation that we're going to hold underneath VWAP before we get a little too far ahead of ourselves here on Tesla, trying to fight some things. A couple of names in here that I haven't talked about yet. Apple now holding underneath VWAP. The market's starting to look a little bit heavy, so I feel like it's the right move to start looking and aiming for some short trades. GameStop, I don't think necessarily cares at this point that the market's dipping, so we're still holding on. At this point, it's an easy out if it loses VWAP for me here on GameStop. So we're going to hold for another push back into those highs. Whoa, some volume just came into Tesla here. That was a pretty decent spike there on Tesla. This is why I'm not sitting in front of the offer on Tesla. We needed to confirm on the view up. Now it's all of a sudden looking very strong. That's a strong bid that just came into Tesla. Let me just hit the wire. I didn't hear anything just now on Tesla, but clearly a big volume spike just came in. You saw it. It was holding under VWAP, pulling back with the market. Now this looks awfully strong. So I'm going to stay off the offer this one, at least temporarily.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue watching this Amazon as the market looks like it's pulling back in as well. Again, we're trading below that 206 and some change as of right now, but within the 10, 15 pennies of that, I want to see candle open and close below the trend, I guess, below the moving average, whatever you want to call it. I want to see something distinct to be like, all right, well, maybe we are starting to break this trend that we've been having since the open here. Amazon doing a bit of a technical breakout, and it's coming into the 10:30 time as of right now. So let's see if there's any continuation, or do we take a little bit of a breather on Amazon? This is what we're looking like right now on Amazon. So let's see, we had that strength off of the open. We came all the way to 207.10s, trading at 206s as of right now. So I do want to get a little bit more in this one, but we're holding a bit of this trend from some of these lows here. So if you were to draw a bit of a trend line, you can see that we're right there. We're kind of holding in and around some of those prices. The trend, obviously, if you're getting in here and you want to risk to there, that risk is a little wide. If you're trying to take it to VWAP here, VWAP's just at 205, so about a point away from VWAP and about a point away from the day's high. So if you're giving it the right kind of risk, then yeah, it's pretty much a 1-to-1 as of right now. So I don't know if I want to add here. I like my price at 206.90s. Definitely, I think it took me a couple of tries to get that price there, and I wasn't willing to cover when I was a point, I guess a point in the money right there on that 205 hold. But let's see if we hold higher. Again, like I said before, I'm more than willing to get stopped out a couple of times, a few times, to catch the trade if and when it does come in. I do like the setup here on Amazon on the day today, but a lot of things selling to the downside as well. Again, we talk about chips, we talk about some of these retail tickers that have reported today. KSS came all the way down to 14.2s. We're actually ticking back up now, so I'm glad I got out of majority of the position there on KSS, just leaving a bit of a trail on. Let's see if those sellers, oh boy, indeed, come back in at that 14.7 mark right here. So you know what? I will get a little bit more of that Amazon as of right now. Let's see if we can come into that VWAP level just above 205s. Oh boy, Buffett's calling. Does that mean
what's Uncle Warren saying?
Berkshire?
Why is Uncle Warren calling us right now? Because
oh boy,
maybe he sees value in some of the chip names. That could be a reason, although I would argue that AMD is still way too expensive for Warren Buffett, his liking. AMD double bottoming here. NVIDIA is getting off the lows, but it's actually Tesla that I was going to go to. You know what? The market just tested the lows again. You guys saw what just happened underneath VWAP on Tesla. Like, it was looking like it was going to hold under VWAP, then it blasted higher. You've now got hold underneath prior resistance, hold support, higher low, flat top break. This is starting to resemble something from the other day. Remember this? Hold the low, higher low, and then blast off at 345. Now, I'm not saying it's going to do the same move, but sometimes you've got to be able to take a shift of your plan and notice what the price action is telling you. So this is indicating to me I need to take the 345 break just like we did a couple of days ago. And I know I started thinking a short on this, but you've got to be able to adjust on the fly, and my adjustment is to now look at the long on Tesla. So 345 breaks, I'm taking it on Tesla. We like the short under VWAP. It blasted now. It's holding higher. The market's relatively weak, so we're going long on a 340. If it doesn't break 345, then I got to come up with another plan of action for Tesla, but at least for now, we're taking that breakout. NVIDIA is trying to reverse trend. Rivian, by the way, is now looking like it was 100% the right call to get out off of VWAP. Look at the candle. It's holding a higher low, so it's still holding green. There's a chance this is not done on the long. But it's either hold above VWAP, I think, or wait for the low. It's not really giving you an awesome setup here for the long. So I'm just backing away from it, at least in the short term. GameStop still holding higher lows. No break of 31. You're now holding underneath 31, but we've already taken some profit in there. At this point, like I said, if it loses VWAP, we can get away from it and then move on to whatever the next trade might be. But want to hold on to at least a piece of this for said dream. Of course, Tesla. The second I'm like, I want this breakout, it goes right in there and I jinx it. Goes right into 344 change and pulls right back into 343. Still holding higher lows, so it's still looking pretty good. We can be patient for it. It's 10:25. I would like for this to happen before 11 o'clock. You want some time for this to give a move before noon. So let's see if Tesla still has the juice here. Sam, why is Buffett holding so much cash? So you can probably just look this one up, but Buffett has he has an indicator that he's a big fan of, which has to do with valuations relative to US GDP. And that's been flashing sell like a million, I don't know, like a year ago. And so he's been trimming positions in everything because he has the market is ridiculously overbought, and so he's been building into cash. That's why he gets punked for not putting it into Bitcoin, but he holds Treasury, so he's still banking. But yeah, they have a lot of cash because the popular metrics he looks at have been saying the market and a lot of the S&P has been way too expensive relative to US GDP. I forget the exact metric, but you can look it up.
Yeah, so I'm kind of sorry, just staring down the tape here on Amazon. Again, I'm looking for that continuation of sellers there. Oh boy, here comes in that KSS. So we did get back up to VWAP there on KSS, and we're trading a little bit lower here. So it seems like the sellers are
14?
coming in. 1460s it came up to. Couldn't quite get to 1470s. That's where I have my VWAP. That's sitting there as of right now. So going to continue watching that one there. But oh boy, I kind of missed that entry. But I did get a couple of entries that I did like. here on Amazon. Might have added a bit too aggressively, but looking for that trend break to happen, coming in with only about 2.5 minutes for this 15-minute candle to print, and some of those prior lows coming in at 205.40. So we're trading about 40 pennies away from that at 205.80s as of right now. Let's see if we can take a little bit lower there, but that KSS continuation, man, oh boy, we're getting some market tailwind on that move as well. Let's see if we can get that selling. VWAP here on Amazon, I have sitting at 204.90, so we're just trading, I guess, about 70, 80 pennies away from that VWAP as of right now. So let's see. The bid was quite strong in the morning session. You can see how aggressive that was. Where can I look for a potential bid? Maybe this 205s that held earlier, and that 205s right now confluencing it with VWAP, which is another place I want to be looking and watching the tape at potentially to see what decisions we make there, what decisions price makes there, so that I can be guided in my decisions on this current trade right now. So 205.60s coming in again. 40 pennies away from that prior low. Let's see if we can crack a little bit lower here on Amazon. But if we don't, that's fine as well. I'm waiting, I'm watching, man. Where is the next trade is another question that I'm asking. Should I be asking that while I'm in this trade? Maybe, potentially. I'm going to let this one cook and see what other things we have. I know that GME, you're still in there.
It's up 6% now on GameStop. Tesla just broke as well. See, this is what always happens. Like, best laid plans. I was like, oh, I'm about to talk about GameStop because GameStop, yada, yada, yada. And then Tesla decides it has to go ahead and break right away. Immediate offer at the $0.50. So instantly you have sellers at the $0.50 starting to push through. I'm sitting at 88. Okay, I wanted one more out there in the 50 range, so I just took it out there in the 50 range. Remember, you have overhead resistance at 347, so this needs to work, and it needs to work in a hurry. It was the same thing that happened the last time we had this break. I'm not expecting this kind of a move, but it was a 45 to a 47 area resistance, so I want to make sure that I get the scalp trade in there. We've gotten some out in the 50s. I have an offer now trying to get some out in front of 46. If we break 46, I want to then scalp from 46 to 47 while holding on to about 20% for a move past 347. That's very similar to what we did. It was 2 days ago, right? You get old, you start to forget these dates. No, it was a couple of days ago exactly. Well, I just showed you guys the chart, so I should know this. Where we had this exact same move. Now, whenever you have a range like this, I didn't even get filled there at the 30s. Seriously? Gimme. Always gets. Oh yeah, then I put another offer and it flashes up there. Okay, so we just got the fill, but I just wanted to quickly point out, because I went through all this very, very fast. There is no chance that when this move sets up almost the exact same way on a 345 break, that I think it's going to give us a $10 move like it did. What I expect is, because everyone and their mother is on this trade, that you're more likely to get a push into this 48 and then this lower high at 47. That's why a little bit more aggressive scalping than the last time we took this trade. But still, you wait for Tesla. I was thinking short Tesla this morning. You know this. But it said it's not a short to me. It showed me the higher lows. It showed me the consolidation. It gave us the flat top break at the 45. And the rest is, as we say, history. But there's still no press into the actual 47. I've only gotten fills at the $0.50. One more fill, and then we're only at 20% for the next move past the 347 level, pretty much to plan. And now I can talk about GameStop, because Tesla thwarted my best laid plans to discuss GameStop by making the breakout. So now GameStop, there's your trend since the break of 30. As long as it holds on to this trend, I'm targeting 32.25. It's not necessarily random. Just go right in back to, what is this date? June 12th. We had a fail up here. That prior high, as you can see on the 11th, was 32.25. So that failure, there was your prior high. That's my target area, that 32.25. Or it loses trend and I get out and wait for VWAP. So Tesla, again, another breakout that we're able to wait for, that works out for us. I'm going to make the assumption that when Tesla made that break, we probably missed an opportunity to bounce into Rivian. When Tesla starts going, would have missed an opportunity to go back into a long on Rivian. But you got to pick and choose, everybody. But I'm not looking any gift horses in the mouth. Had I reloaded Rivian here instead of taking the Tesla trade, I'd be covering some in front of the 1180 key price. Certainly taking some profit there. Would be great if it can press higher. But let's be real. If you have to pick and choose, I'm I'm picking Tesla 10 times out of 10 when choosing between those two. A flat top break on Tesla at 345. It's getting heavy and not actually giving that last press. There we go. It just got filled at 70s. I moved my order from like 80s into 70s just to make sure we got that fill. Now we're waiting for a 345 break on Tesla. So we're down to that 20%. Can't turn into a loser. If we break 47, I should say, let's see if we can get pressed into 350. Not anticipating it'll be as big as it was 2 days ago. You have tons of overhead resistance and the obvious next key levels, 48 and 50 even. Thank you, Tesla.
Yeah, some wild moves here. That aggressive bid came right back in on Amazon with the open of this current 15-minute candle. Again, 12 minutes left to print on this one. There, 206.30s trading. So there's a bit of a reserve offer there on 206s. We break that reserve offer on 206s, and then we kind of rip right back above. What's going on, Fabian?
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's going on?
Are you subscribed?
Am I subscribed?
Yeah. Are you subscribed to Trader TV?
Yeah, of course.
Can I see?
Sure, yeah.
Prove it.
Prove it live.
Prove it. I can prove it live.
I can type in the chat.
You? Good.
Of course.
Bam. Oh, I haven't
Show
shown
it to- I want to show you something. If you hit the subscribe button,
like now,
and
even though I already am.
unsubscribe,
But I don't want to
Unsubscribe.
But I don't want to.
and click it.
But I don't want to.
Do it. Now hit subscribe. You got a little animation.
Boom!
The
That's
special
what I'm
viewers
talking
get a
about.
little animation, so test it for yourself to see if you get that. All right.
I like that. Thank
Adios.
you.
Straight from Fabian. I promise you this, though. We get twice as many subs if Ramin did that. Ram.
That's fair.
Just saying.
That's very fair.
Bruh. Just do it. Uh-oh, Jimmy's losing the bid.
What's happening?
See, I just drew this trend line. And once again, Neil with the trend line jinx. So if we close underneath trend here on GameStop, ooh, that's heavy. I'm just going to... Oh, yeah, I didn't pay for locates on it. Do you see that? I just went to punch out, but I had to take profit. So it coded that as a sell, a short sell, which meant I couldn't hit it because I didn't pay for locates on GameStop because I wasn't expecting to go short, but it broke the trend, so we jump out. Now I'm waiting for a VWAP retest or a 30 retest. Sometimes you just got to be able to ring the old register. I don't know if it wants to go higher, but I have to follow my plan of action because that's what's been leading to more green pastures. So Tesla, I said this one can't turn negative. My stop is now back through 345 as it continues to go. What just happened?
Yeah, so many people. Look at this Streamlabs wave that came in right here. That's crazy. Look at all those subscribers. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. That was wild. It's like, when you kind of wipe the book. That's the subscription button getting wiped. That's absolutely dope. Thank you guys for that one there. And yeah, no, Fabian coming in with the hot request there for that subscription. What's going on, Randy? What you looking at today? Tesla. You were looking at some Tesla.
2 points.
Oh boy, Neil is trading Tesla right now.
Rivian is doing okay, but Randy, unfortunately for everybody, Rivian decided it wanted to revert that move. So it was up huge this morning, but Rivian, it was a huge gap up, but the good news is you always like something to hold on support, and they managed to hold on support. It's trying to battle VWAP here. But with Tesla pulling back, I do worry that Rivian might lose a little bit of juice. The other thing is the market is also giving some back in here. So just to sort of complete that, you haven't even had a green candle on the NASDAQ since the open. We open, push higher. It's been 3 red in a row, and you're running out of time on this candle to reverse that trend. So obviously, there has been a pullback. You had to find the strong stocks. That's why we went over to GameStop. GameStop wasn't even in the plan of action. You want another reason why everyone should hit the like and subscribe? Because Trader TV Live has the best trading community out there. It's just about finding opportunities and becoming better. Because you can sit there and, yeah, okay, fine, like Rivian was a good dip buy. It's great. But GameStop broke out. Everyone started screaming about this one in the chat because we've got a great trading community. And it's not that hard to find out in the wind some great trading setups. Like, worked into a long, was very patient about it. It gave you the 30 long. Now, I'm out of it on my own plans. Some people wouldn't take that trail out. It is what it is, and you could still be long the stock as we speak. So that's what it's all about, everybody. Like I said, great trading community. You don't have to fight stocks. You can always find something a little bit better. Yeah, Tesla, just one last thing for anyone. It's entirely possible it could go $10, but after this yesterday and everyone looking at that break, I'm not nearly as optimistic about this move as I was previous time. So if we lose 345, I'm going to jump out of this one. I have it down around the quarters. It cannot turn into a losing trade because we did scalp aggressively into 47. But you just had to have that notion that when it's doing the move that we just saw go $10 that everyone was in love with, I can't see it the second time through being as strong. So bank the profit, make sure you get, well, you could get aggressive if you want to, but I did. And now if it comes into VWAP, we can make another trade. So you can take your trade, acknowledge what it wants to give you and no further, and then look for the next trade. It happened to be a long. VWAP's another couple of dollars down. I don't mind waiting for a VWAP. And it's the same thing with GME. I don't mind waiting for it to pull back into VWAP here or even support at $30. If it wants to get to 32, there are a lot of ways it can get there. They don't all have to be straight shot to the upside, and then you never get any pullbacks. And if there are pullbacks, you can get out, jump back in, and wait for your shot. Unfortunately, in taking those two trades, I did miss the bounce on Coles. There's your mean reversion on Coles. So there's an opportunity cost to everything in trading. And when we grabbed those last two longs, Coles very clearly did this, trend down, there is your curl, there is your bottoming tail candle, there is your entry spot, there is your press into VWAP. So that's an obvious setup that I was looking for. It lost 15. This kind of worked 14.5 into like 14.90, but it's a much better trade on this mean reversion here on Coles. But we took Tesla and GameStop instead, so we missed out on the chance to get that into VWAP. But it's all about the setup. You know, the setup's right there, and if you have a playbook of trades, setups, and execution strategies like this, then you can have that one. You're talking about 14.30 long with 8 cents of worth of risk. That's the low of the day. 8 cents worth of risk. It's now at 14.70 and still going. That's the kind of setup we like. You know, and again with GameStop, not guaranteed that it's going to bounce off VWAP, but I can wait. If it shows me another consolidation pattern on the dip, I go into the long. Simple as that.
Yeah, so this Amazon's absolutely crazy today, man. We kind of made it all the way back to 207s and then taking a bit of a pullback here. So maybe a bit of a reclaim of that moving average. The futures haven't really done much. Like I said, they've been trading sideways. Sure, we look like we're trading lower. We look like we're trading a little bit higher. I guess we've been looking like we're trading lower more than we have been higher, but we're pretty much still sideways on the day here. So I want to keep that in consideration here. And Amazon, a little bit double toppy, a bit of a failure to follow through. We saw that reserve held offer coming in at 206s. Let's see if Buddy shows up again on 206s. We're trading 206.30s right now. But yeah, no, let us know in the chat. What have you guys been trading on the day today? Oh boy, HSAI. So this ticker had earnings today, and I'm just setting my eyes on this one right now. Look at this, Neil. This is an earnings day one play. Huh? Pre-market high break, pulls back 10 pennies. And pushes up to $7 from under 6. How wild is this ticker right now? Did they beat on earnings? Absolutely not. Surprise. Negative minus, or I guess 262% miss on EPS. Sure, they beat on revenue, but that's, I mean, you know what? It was 6 pennies, you know. So it's like when your estimate is 2 pennies and you report a few pennies more or less, that percent can really get pretty big pretty fast there. And KSS coming back up into VWAP as well. So yeah, no. Mandar asking, sweet Jesus, what happened to Sava? Let's take a look at Sava here. All right, oh boy, we cracked that $4, but we're still chilling in and around there, $3.93 as of right now, but a strong pullback nonetheless off of the open there. So some selling coming into the name here on Cassava. Day 2 after they announced that they're stopping their trial for their Alzheimer's.
Oh, it's setting up a nice general trend here on Sava.
A bit of a downtrend there.
So like this, look, this one never, I guess technically it's set up in here for a reversion trade. Like there's your trend down. It never really breaks trend down, but I guess you could maybe take this. Although for me, when looking at a reversion, like it has to explode off the even dollar, which it never really did, or it has to break the trend, which now underneath VWAP is this. So I have eyeballs on Sava because now all of a sudden breaking this trend would be back above the $4 and looking very good. I can tell you this about GameStop. Well, it did bounce off VWAP, and it bounced very, very quickly. Right back up to 31.25. Like, look at how quickly this gets off to 30.50. It doesn't even tag VWAP. So a little, even more violent, I think, at this point than I was anticipating. But a good look for GameStop. I think it's really churning today. The trend is really good. Got to find a way to get back into this. It's a great bounce on GameStop, and I did miss it, unfortunately. But I got Coles on my sights.
I did.
And
Wow.
I just heard Sharif just say Apple high of the day.
Oh boy.
Oh, Apple, wherefore art thou, Apple? Only 1%. It's not just high of the day, everybody. This is a triple top and upcoming in a couple of bucks.
That's that.
This is 237 change.
Breakout?
Well, it's a double top in here. It'll be a triple when we get there. But I mean, obviously, look at this. Like, you're trending into this. I heard Sharif even say higher lows into a triple top on the daily here on Apple. But you know what? 237 is a long way away in Apple's terms. So if it's going to get there and we're going to make a press into that, this is another stock I want to join. I like the fact that the market didn't get to the highs and it got to the highs. Already it's relatively strong. GameStop, we're looking obviously still at Tesla if it can get back into VWAP. That was good. And of course, you got Kohl's that we're watching. Got to add Apple to this list. I don't know if you get back into VWAP, but if it can just consolidate above 235, why not play it into the high as opposed to just trying to get a breakout $2 from it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good look. GME pushing as well. Apple on the day, very, very strong here. Softy as well. Softy's also pushing its day highs as of right now. So this market is pretty strong now. I guess we were looking slightly weak on some names, but again, Softy was the one that was pushing up right off of the open, and so was Apple, and they continue to be strong going into, I guess, 11 o'clock as of right now. So definitely something to watch out for. Amazon as well, trading near its highs. So that's relatively strong as well. Tesla trading at 344s with a high of 347 or 346.90 I have. So yeah, I got to keep an eye out for that one as well. Oh boy, we're bidding right back up here on Amazon. Holding trend to the upside, man, and I feel like I'm fighting a bit of the trend here. Apple with some fresh highs right there again. So yeah, Apple hella strong. We did break through that high there, and Neil's talking about that top.
What a beast.
You can take a look. Oh boy, that's a lot of lines. So yeah, so these are all-time highs here on Apple at 237.23. We're kind of pushing up into that level as of right now as we speak. So should be interesting going forward on the day. Do we break out of said level, or do those resistances continue to act as a bit of a resistance area and we continue to the downside? I have no idea, Neil, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting in anticipation. Hopefully, not trading in anticipation here, but waiting in anticipation to see if that breakout comes out. And if it does, I think we can potentially make some decisions there. But KSS, man, still holding that VWAP as a bit of a resistance as of right now. So definitely one to keep an eye on. Also are some of these earnings tickers on the day today. So we talked about ANF, we talked about Kohl's, we talked about Zoom, we talked about Dix, we talked about Analog, AGI devices, we talked about Woodward, WWD, and Samtech as well, and then HSAI. Those were all of the earnings names that I was looking at, and HSAI is the strongest one of the bunch as of right now. So absolutely wild action on the day. Lots of opportunities. Let us know what you guys have been trading in the chat, and we can take a look at some of those opportunities that you guys may or may not have captured as well. So I'm more than willing to do that. I know a lot of people are trading GME as well. Neil, you're totally out of your GME, or?
I'm all out of GameStop. It was I feel like the plan was sound. It was just a matter of I didn't get back in. It broke this trend. The trend since the break of 30, which was here, broke trend. I got out with the intention of, hey, I think that dip and a break of trend pulls us back into VWAP. It did kind of get there, but I didn't get back into it. You would have had to get like 30.70s. I was thinking it would press a little deeper and closer to 30.25 and maybe get some fills at or just underneath VWAP. But it's still trending higher. I want to try to get back into this off of either VWAP or maybe the day-long trend is something that can continue to hold. I mean, obviously, it's got a nice linear line through, so as long as it holds on to any of these prior highs, you're still making, in general sense, higher lows. Like this higher low is held at 30.5, so I do like that. Apple, by the way, so Apple, now remember, that high in the daily is all the way at 237. So when I said why take a break on Apple, wait for a break, at 237, if it's going to make a fresh high, why not look at the local one in here? So I'm still thinking it can dip and maybe give us something in VWAP or 235, but the $0.50 is sitting here primed for a breakout as well on Apple. So I'm just going to take a shot at the $0.50 breaking back through 50. You did test it once, but it's an easy stop out to me, not even giving it back to 235, just giving it to the prior bar. I just don't want to be waiting for Apple to get to 237. I want to find entries before we get there. And if it means having some shots with tight stops, then that's fine. Because if Apple wants to hunt, it's clearly relatively strong. You do have, you got 236.5 as the highest close, ish, and then you've got 237 up here. So there's a lot of room for it to still run. So taking some pot shots at it with 25, 30 cent risk, I don't mind doing. So that's the explanation. I said I wasn't going to take a breakout trade on it, but that was not taking 237. If it sets up consolidations and 20, 30 cent risk trades, I'm going to take those shots on Apple on the way. If we pull back into VWAP, I wait for that. But took an L on this one, but I still feel like this has room to run. And the other thing that I'm waiting for is Tesla. Tesla's pulling all the way back into VWAP. So it was a heavy scalp trade going in on Tesla. Now we're back into VWAP, which is what we're waiting for. So can it continue to hold? What I also like here is I'm just going to slap these. If you get to VWAP, you'd be trying to hold on to this general trend since it made this bottom when we were short. So if we can hold on to VWAP, we're waiting for it to get down, show the reversal pattern, and then we go into the long here. So just going to be patient with it. We got out of Tesla when it lost to 345 after scalping 45 to 47. Now the real story is, can it get to VWAP first? Second place would be, can it hold it?
Yeah, I think that Tesla pullback, market's taking a little bit of a pullback here. Again, we can't really get past that 20,100 just yet. Here, again, a lot of things are winding up. You can see that so is Amazon here. I'm kind of fighting the trend a little bit. The day high sitting at 207.10s. We're trading 206. 90s, 207s. Every time we have kind of got up here in the 207s, we take a little bit of a pullback here. So I guess I'm looking for more of the same. But then again, we could also not see that. We have 10 minutes left here on for this 15-minute candle to print, and we're kind of chopping around in and around that day high while the market pulls back as well. We've already kind of tested this a couple of times there on Amazon and not really gone anywhere too far just yet. Xena, I know a lot of people have been moving some Xena shares on the day. Even yesterday was quite wild there, but it's been ticking down pretty much since the open there. So some strong selling. We've had we had a halt down off of the open there, and we've been only trading below that halt price as of right now. SMR to the downside, making some fresh lows with a very strong volume candle as of right now, trading at 27.50s. Cassava trading lower as well, 390s day lows. DJT, nothing too crazy, trading pretty much sideways on the day. GME still holding above that 30 level, trading at 30.85s. So yeah, I'm not really seeing anything too else. NVIDIA breaking some lows. So again, NVIDIA looking distinctly different from the rest of this market as of right now, as the chips with the dip kind of comes into fruition. AMD still making some fresh lows, SMH to the downside as well. So nothing really has changed too much on some of these names. They continue to move in the direction that they have been pretty much off of the open there. So Bitcoin, Bitcoin want to cover that 93.2. So that thing took a nice little pullback off of those highs, and we're catching a bit of a breather here. We talked about that multi-week trend, or the trend we've been holding since about the middle of the month. there for the past 10, 15 days has broken as of yesterday, and we did take a little bit of a pullback back down into the low 90s on Bitcoin. So definitely one to watch if you are trading tickers like Coinbase, Mara, MSTR, things like that. Yeah, no, that's kind of the look I have right now. I'm not really seeing too much else. Stephen Smith saying triple bottom on NVIDIA. Oh boy, it's been making bottoms.
Stephen A. Smith? No, obviously Stephen A. isn't in our chat. Although if Stephen A. was in our chat, what up to you, sir? So just now, I feel like this is maybe a little bit early. You just held on. So this is Tesla. Obviously, you guys can see I'm in long here at 344. It had this trend back in. We got out of the original long. It had this candle right here. Like, look at we open at 343.90 on a 3-minute, travel back and forth like a buck, back and forth, up and down, and then are able to close pretty much at dead even. So when I see it hold a higher low at the $0.50, I kind of get in when it breaks back above 344. But what this lacks, and look, I have a very tight stop on this, and what this lacks is the actual close higher on this candle, which would be the more reasonable entry. Allow this to actually close about 344, and if you miss it, you miss it. So I have a tight first target at 344, just underneath the $0.50, and then a tight stop underneath the other $0.50. And that's because I kind of violated in getting in a little bit early. So I kind of like the position. The market's holding on. And I do want to be in the dip buy, but the adjustment is to have a tighter stop and then I have a tighter first target area. Apple doesn't want to go all the way to VWAP to get a dip back in, but while I have a chance with only 7 minutes to go, you're getting real close here on GameStop. So GameStop is getting really close down into VWAP. I don't want to miss my shot at this dip here on GME. So if it does pop down into the $0.50, I'll be looking to scoop it up. If it does a candle like this, I have a level 2 dedicated to it to make sure I can go ahead and grab that one. Eyeballs are still on GameStop, and I'm not ignoring Sava either. I still have Cassava Sciences up looking for a break of trend as well. So I do have a couple of things on the go, but it was Tesla. Look, Tesla might end up screaming to the upside here, but it's the way that I entered into it. Like, you end up closing sideways again. That's not very bullish at all on Tesla. It gets very, I don't know what the word I want to use here. Like whippy action off 344, not very clean. If anything, I should allow it to resume an upward trend before getting any more aggressive here on Tesla. Because if it's going to get to 347 again or 350, there should be ample opportunity to get in. Look at how ugly this action is with only 5 minutes to go here. But like I said, tighter stop with this, and then the first target at that $0.50, you can see the resistance it's already putting in. We'll just have to wait patiently for it as, now GameStop is coming into VWAP. So that probably is going to be the next thing. Oh, okay. That's right. Special treat. Before we get on over to the midday, we do have Mr. Mendel from the OTC markets. Jeff, welcome, brother. Good to talk to you. How's everything going?
What's up, guys? Trying to center myself here on the screen right now. So should we start calling you Mr. Moon ATS for overnight trading, guys? Come on, I'm gonna just keep hammering this every time I come on, baby.
You should.
I'm gonna just go right into my sales pitch right now, if you guys don't mind. And then we're going to talk about how the Cowboys are blowing their draft positioning to get Shordur and Dion to come to Dallas. They got to stop winning.
So
how can they beat the Commanders? Seriously, keep losing.
They're trying. Well, I'll tell you this right now. I think regardless of where Dallas ends up actually picking, they're going to find a way. I think there's an absolute mortal lock that Dion and Jerry are going to figure this one out, and Sanders is going to end up on your team one way or another. I think the Cowboys are going to get Shedeur Sanders. It's too obvious for it not to happen here. So as much as I hate it because I want to cheer for them, I think you guys are going to get them. But more importantly, can we talk? How about you just give us, for anyone that doesn't know, the OTC markets, you guys are getting into the game, the aftermarket trading. We've seen it with Tesla on the RoboTaxi event. You saw it with the election with DJT going absolutely nuts. Aftermarket and into the evening trading is really heating up here. And we're talking about as late as 7, 8 o'clock in the evening where you're getting real trades. So I think this is a big opportunity. So can you get, for anyone that didn't tune in last time you were on, can we get into that?
Yeah, so this is 8 p.m. Eastern to 4 a.m. Eastern time, right? So it is a listed trading platform, Moon ATS, and so yeah, so Tesla, right? Everything that you guys always are talking about on the show, right? Stuff that is also trading heavily already overnight on a similar platform, right? We are standing that up. We are going to be live. We're going to have like the top 100 symbols in there by January 15th. Oh, perfect. We're gonna have, and then over the following weeks after that, get out all the names on the listed side that we can, right? And so what this means is it's access to additional liquidity, more liquidity, giving people, another venue, a trusted venue, right? Because like all these people, a lot of the firms that are connecting to us trade on us during the daytime, right? And all of our over-the-counter names as well too. And so, this is something where we've put a lot of time and effort into it, and now we're in the final countdown to rolling this thing out. And so, it's this is in addition to us also doing OTC overnight as well too, which is a totally new product. So that's going to take some time to grow, but we think by offering a platform that allows to basically all of U.S. equities is key to kind of growing the space, growing access to the U.S. capital markets in general, and also scaling out our platform for existing clients. So that's my sales pitch. But it's looking forward to working with you guys on building this out, just like we did with OTCX in the past, and just getting more access to OTC markets in general. Right now, we're going to do it on the listed side as well too.
Well, for traders, I mean, you have us at more access right there. Like that's all the pitch you need. It's just we're talking opportunities to trade, right? Like this is no one's sitting there. When you have access to a market, you don't have to sit there and trade it every single day. But when you do have events where you might have earnings that get released, you might have, like we talked about with Tesla, they might have like a robo-taxi event, or maybe you get a corporate event in the evening. Maybe you get news overnight. Those are the types of things we're talking about. Now, I did put the link in the chat for everybody. So if you're able to go to otcmarkets.com, the OTC link /moon overnight. The link is in the chat if you're interested in looking at it. But just in a general sense, I mean, should we not be considering some of the old standard names in here as well with all this tariff talk? Like, some of the regular ATSs that we always go on about here when we bring you on here, Jeff, I feel like are going to be in play once again. You have the housing market moving, so we get Fannie and Freddie still doing a lot of volume. They're actually leading in here today. But what else is hot here for OTC markets in the general sense in this holiday shortened week?
So FNMA, Fannie Mae, also Freddie Mac, FMCC, right? Fannie Mae's down a little down today, right? But if you look at if you pull back on the chart, a massive move, and this is all around what it's all based on what is the Trump administration going to do with those entities, right? Are they going to be privatized, right? Because right now they're basically like government entities right now too. And so, what track does he take? So definitely two names to watch, right? It's right now Fannie Mae's trading, above $3. It's first time in a while for the past couple of weeks, right? And so there's a ton of activity. If you're day trading it, it kind of fits, where, there's a lot of liquidity on both sides of the marketplace to scalp. Same thing with FMCC. And then, if you take a step back and you look at, some of the more global stuff, BYDDY, which is BYD, right? It's kind of like two-prong, right? It's electric vehicles, but also, the tariff talk as well. I don't know how much that would actually affect BYD as much, but still, name to look at. Luckin Coffee, they're expanding. They're looking to move outside of the APAC region, I believe. I think I saw something on that, but just another kind of name to look at. DIY, DD. Talk about those names all the time. So definitely some stuff to look at on that front. And then, then we have all of the Canadian names as well too. So those 5-letter symbols, that end in F. A lot of those are Canadian listed companies, which, the ones that are tied to energy, the ones that are tied to cannabis, always, I think, over the next few months, with all the changes going on, definitely something to keep an eye on. I don't have any in particular today, but definitely keep that up. We already brought up our website one time. The stock screener on there where you can go and look and see what's active for the day.
Yeah, that's right over here. OTC markets, market activity, the current market. You can see. I like to usually. Sometimes you can go by the actual volume, but sometimes it's actually a little more informative to just go by the number of trades in here. That's where you'll see FNMA and FMCC. I just want to point out, just for our traders out here, when you look at DD in particular, something you might notice for any traders that like setups, like breakouts and opportunities, well, you might notice a little something happening on DD at $5, which is an absolute brick wall at the $5 level. Trade it as you may, but a setup is a setup. For sure. So lots of things to look at here. Thank you, Jeff. But of course, I think the big story is going to be the ability for aftermarket trading and trading in the evening. So make sure you guys check out that link. I threw it in the chat for everybody, and we'll keep talking about it because it's trading opportunities. All we ever look for is an opportunity to express trades and make a little bit of coinage, and that's what I think people are trying to expand to. We might eventually go 24 hours, and this is a big step here, Jeff.
Definitely. I'm gonna have to get Moon put on my backdrop here. So.
Well, you know what you could do? What you could do is get us some merch with Moon on it. Like, give me a Moon hat. Maybe get like a golf shirt. Not that I golf. You're the golfer. You get like a golf shirt out there. We can maybe throw me an apple fritter. I have no idea how that relates to Moon, but if I just like eating apple fritters, so if you wanted to send that, that'd be fine too, Jeff.
Okay, listen, you're getting my creative juices flowing, but I like it. So good stuff, guys.
That's what I like to see. Thank you so much, Jeff Mendel, head of broker-dealer sales there at OTC Markets, a good friend of the show. So shout out to him and shout out to Overnight Trading, which we know was a fantastic thing. Now it's past 11 o'clock. We ran a little bit long in there, but you know what? It's been a while. The market's still trying. GameStop did try to bounce off VWAP. Apple's still going, but we got the Bash Brothers in the house. That means it's Sharif and, wow, Sharif and...
I'm gonna let you finish, but... I'm gonna let you finish, but...
Wow, Pam, she's got no chill, bro. No chill. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show.